Oh, you just met me. I was having a moment thinking about life. Life was getting to me, so just thinking. Sorry, you caught me off guard there. Anyway, so we're gonna go in and bring in our people, our co-hosts, our people that have just been amazing throughout the year. We're about to have our last show next week. I think it's our last show. Should we do a last show next week, or should we do one on New Year's Eve? I mean, actually, to be fair, New Year's Eve apparently got cancelled this year. But anyway, we're going to keep it moving. And the first person I'm going to be bringing on to my right, oh, he's finally done it. He's finally put his Insta in. But we're going to do it anyway. Yeah, so Mr. I don't know why I keep on doing this. I keep on doing Return of the Mac. I've got to find some new ones for my guy. We've got Dijon.
You know. Although you're far away, I need to stay.
Oh.
You're always in my heart. Yeah. I was trying, I didn't see that. Oh.
I realized you didn't see me there.
Yeah. All right, sorry, man. Sorry.
All right, cool. So, how you been today, Dijon?
I've been good, bro. I've been good, just chilling. And yeah.
Just chilling, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, is that a new haircut I see?
Oh, yeah. No, I trimmed it down a bit. So.
I noticed. It's looking fresh. Trying to look fresh.
Yeah.
You catch them ladies, huh? Oh, wait, and you... Oh, wait, I can't... I don't want to be your...
Yeah.
Right, cool. And then we've got, I don't know. I've got to give him a new name. Do you understand? Like, because I even do the whole what he does. The Webster with 1B. Do you know what I mean? But I've got to find a new name, a new way to introduce this guy. Yeah. But yeah, another one of our co-hosts, Mr. Jack Webster.
Come on, dude.
Oh, man. Sorry, guys. I'm in a business meeting. 100 mil. It's not enough. I'm here. What are you, man, telling me? Obviously, the real Louis Vuitton glasses, they're obviously not from Turkey. These are very authentic.
This guy.
What are you, man, telling me?
That's your best one.
Calm.
Last week, I think, was good.
I messed up last week. I just dented my wall. You didn't even hear the music from it. It was terrible.
There was no music.
Last week was pretty good, but this week...
It's going to come out my deposit.
This week, I think... I was going to give it to Dijon last week, and I think Dijon definitely got it last week. But this week, I think Jack... even though Dijon started with a good ballad, it is questionable if we can still be using this guy. Do you understand? If we're going to cancel our case... I'm joking. We all know MJ didn't do it.
Oh my days. Oh my god. Oh, it's only been like 2 minutes. It's been 4 minutes into the podcast.
Oh, joke.
Let's move on.
Crazy.
We've got another one. I've got to get the show right. I have no idea what this guy was on originally. The original singer. But I'm guessing, would you call it? Either way, I've got to stop calling him a Mr. Lover, man, because if he's got a missus, it's making him look bad. Bringing on Lamar.
Bro, what are you doing, fam? No, I can't lie. You should have put music on top of that. That would have been better.
That's talent.
How are you balancing water like it's drugs? Are you balancing water like it's drugs?
You know what, yeah? You don't think it's actually my intro. I was actually doing something very productive. I am known for having mounts and mounts of water bottles in my room.
Bro, I thought I was the only one. I had to get a big one. I
therefore, I've got big ones as well. But what's it called? I am using them to prepare for when ironing day comes.
Ironing day.
Oh, you're creative. You're actually, because then you pour the water into that. Okay.
Because you man don't know. Some of these things have been there for weeks.
So you're gonna pour weeks old room temperature musty water into your iron.
That's true.
You have musty smelling watery clothes.
Water is water.
Nah, don't do
Can I
anything.
say something? Can I throw something in there as well?
What?
I thought you were going to also say we're sponsored today by. I literally was waiting for that moment. I thought you were going to
By Nestle, by Nestle.
Evian water, but yeah, you didn't do it.
You didn't do nothing. You didn't even do an intro. You're just pouring water for bullshit
It's
reason.
calm though. It's calm, man.
We forgive you, bro. We forgive you. All right,
It's
cool.
called reuse.
Let me just quickly go on to call it.
We lot saying,
For the vocals, Chris is loving our vocals. Chris is loving the
come
vocals.
on.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Thank you, Chris.
we appreciate it.
Definitely gonna have vocals on the next soundtrack. Definitely got to do that.
Please
All
take
right,
off.
so today, there's two main questions we're speaking about today. Before I do that, I'm just going to let you give me 30 seconds, and I'm going to let you have a little chat to each other about.
Why are you wearing that hat like that?
I don't know. I was messing around. Yeah,
You was going to wear it, wasn't you? You was going to wear it.
No, I wasn't. I was actually not. Wait, don't do that.
Gonna wear it.
No, there was no way I was gonna wear that. Nah, you're no, I was see. I wanted to see. I was intrigued.
He was upset that the new trim was exposing the forehead a bit, so he had to dim it down.
You know them ones, bro. Look at my forehead, fam. It's one, but it's gone.
It's all right. My hairline's getting pushed back by every trip to the barbers, so I think I'm on there. Start rocking hats too.
All right, this week. What's everyone's take on this week?
This week.
You know
When we
what?
think of a week, are we going Thursday to Thursday? We must be, right?
Yeah, I guess we're going Thursday.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
let's run
I feel like it's been a bit of a quiet week.
Yeah, it's been quiet. Man, I can't lie.
Liverpool dominated Tottenham. That was pretty good to watch. That was nice. Arsenal were on the brink of death again.
There we are.
I'm back home. I'm back home. I'm back in London, guys. So you know,
Jeez.
Yeah, I can't.
please holler at me for anything paid.
Yeah.
Hey, man said anything.
I don't mind. I'm good at cleaning as well.
Construction work, cleaning toilets, say nothing. Anything. Yeah, no, this week has been quiet. I can't lie.
Well,
I
for
haven't
me,
really seen nothing. We're in tier 3. That's it.
yeah.
Bro, I'm a bit confused with the tier 3 rules this time because I've gone into like my town today and everything's open. Nothing's changed. The only
Yeah,
thing
so-
that's shut is
The
pubs
only
and
things that
restaurants.
are closed.
Yeah,
not
yeah.
that's the only thing.
Yeah. What's it called? Oh, I forgot name. It's gone out my head.
Hospitality.
Hospitality's all gone. So hospitality's all gone. And that's about it. There's nothing actually stopped.
So-
The argument they had last week when they put it through was in shops you wear masks.
Mm.
So that's the argument they've put through, and that's what they're putting forward. That in shops you wear masks, so that's the reason why it's okay. I think, in my personal opinion, I think it's a load of BS.
Yeah.
But I'm not complaining because it means I didn't have, like, I remember as soon as it came through that we were the shops was opening. I told us because everyone was. I don't know if anyone was in your areas were doing this. Everyone was beginning to panic. It felt like Tuesday was going to be the day to try and do everything you can do beforehand.
No, that always happened. Like same with the second lockdown, same with tier 3, innit? But I didn't feel like the importance of like see how I felt lockdown. Like the first lockdown, everyone was going mad, but I feel like tier 3 was like, oh yeah, I think we're just normal. I think it's just we're used to it, innit?
It feels more like a tier 2.5 than anything.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't. You know, it is. It all just feels like one long BS now. I think I'm just waiting for the period of time. Whatever tiers come and go,
Yeah,
I don't
care
think
about
it
that.
really is going to make too much of a difference. It all just feels like one dead pandemic.
It does. The thing is as well. I know you're probably. I'm probably old to this, and you're going to tell me that this is already. You knew this already.
Well,
I think we
you're
spoke
pushing
about
40.
before. Yeah, I am pushing 40. I'm actually pushing 40. Fuck, that's scary.
Nah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. You're actually bare young.
No, but I'm now mid-30s. Like, you know, obviously you got the 3 brackets. You got the first 3 years of your age: 30, 31, 32, 33. That's your early 30s. Then you got your mid-30s: 34, 35, 36, and then you got your late 30s: 37, 38, 39. So I'm like,
You're overthinking it. You're young.
Yeah,
bro.
you're calm, man.
I'm getting old. I'm nearly 22. I've got to think about getting a house. The kids.
Bro, here, my man.
Mortgage and that.
But would you call it? Yeah, no. For me, I lost train of thought. But for me, with this whole thing, I think we've just got to a point. That's it. I was just going to say. I think it got to a point where I was like, I spoke to someone about this who's worked at NHS. This isn't the first time this has happened. I think it's just the first time social media has been a part of what's happened. This has been happening. Like it happened about 80 years ago. Another pandemic. It's happened a good 100 years before that. There was the other pandemic. I didn't even realize a Black Death. There was a Black Death, and then there was the plague. There were actually two different things. I actually always put them as one thing. I didn't realize there were two. So this seems to happen every century, and it always seems to happen at the beginning of the century, like around the first 30 years of the century.
That's
some
weird.
thingy. So it's. I think if anything, what it's taught me is it's gonna happen again at some point. I may not be alive to see it, but it's gonna happen again. So I just pray. I hope my great grandkids or future family it is, because we had it good. And when I hear in comparison to other what's happened in the past to now, this was the best time to live through a pandemic. Because when you hear that people will close out, they couldn't even go out of their houses. When you hear that anyone was dying, it wasn't a specific age group. Anyone was dying.
Yeah.
When you hear about all the past things, like all those little things there, I think to myself, like we didn't get as bad as the past. And the way diseases are evolving and become more dangerous, I don't think we're going to get as bad as the future ones in like 21-0. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. So I'm like, I just think because we had social media, I think it highlighted things a little bit more than the past pandemics have ever.
I think my big hope is, I think it's kind of inevitable now as well, is that now that this has like happened, and especially like certain countries, US, UK, who messed up royally. So I keep doing this. Who messed up royally? They're now gonna have to invest so much money into like prevention, or at least an attempt at prevention of some kind. So like this doesn't happen, or it's obviously it's bound to happen. It's natural, but as big as a scale as this ever again.
I think it is. I think the government is like all of us, lazy.
Yes.
So
the government is run by people.
Yeah,
the worst kind as well.
Yeah, and they're lazy. I think the first 20 years, like any pandemic that's happened over years, everyone is on it. And they create the system, like they created the World Health Organization because of the Spanish flu and the polio and all that stuff that killed loads of children and stuff like that. They're on their game. But I think what happens is governments stop listening to their health organizations and they start getting lazy and they start putting their money into other things. And you know what I mean? At first it was important. Like we used to boast about NHS. Our NHS is the greatest in the world. We realized very much so at this particular occasion that wasn't the case. And our government could not, God forbid we ever go to war. I think our government of the old in the old days were probably better prepared to deal with patients, because we just seem to buckle over just a few hundred. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's clearly now I think that's also opened my eyes. Now I know the importance of building hospitals. I used to hear it, and you used to always be like, in governments, we will build more hospitals. To be like, yeah, okay. I didn't really give it. I'm gonna be honest. Anyone out there, I didn't really give a shit. Do you know what I mean? They'll be like, yeah, more police on road. And I'm like, yeah,
don't care about that.
I don't really care. Yeah, like there was loads of things I didn't. And then they would talk about all these different things, and I would be like, yeah, I don't care. Now after seeing what happens in a pandemic, I'm like, yeah. Sorry, give me a second. Yeah, and I'm just like,
I mean, yeah, no, I agree. The Excel Center is currently a hospital, so you definitely needed them, and they promised more hospitals and refurbished 6, and they didn't even get done. So we're not really gonna get them, are we?
No.
When we needed them most.
You know what's mad here? I heard this week that something was happening in China, innit? Apparently China was making like all the minorities in the country like pick cotton,
Oh, the job.
Mad.
This is your first time hearing of this? China?
No, I mean like
hopefully no one comes to my head. Bro, they got the concentration camps for the Muslims.
Yeah, for the Muslims. Yeah, no, I knew about that.
You seen them picking cotton and that, innit? It's crazy.
It's mad though.
But they get away with it. They get away with it. Like there's so much. In fact, all the news. The the news I was going to talk about today was literally kind of showing how bad the governments are and how much we needed some form of like structure of people to question to. And I think that's why UK, I don't want to bring up Brexit too much, but now it makes me more understanding. I knew it was about money, but I now know more why, because there's certain things that America and China can get away with and other big powerhouses get away with because they're solo countries and they're like, no one can tell me what to do. And I think that's what UK didn't like, because one of the stories I was going to bring up today that was a sad story. Let me just get it up. It hit home when I saw this, and it was about a young girl. You probably don't know what I'm talking about when I bring this up, but a young girl passed away a few years ago. Let me just get it. Her name. Let me get her actual name. Anyway, before I go too deep in it, the young girl that passed away, she died. A 9-year-old. She died from air pollution.
Oh, I heard that on the news, you know.
I heard about
Yeah, Ella, that's it. Ella.
I didn't hear about this.
So Ella passed away. I don't want to be too emotive, but I thought let me just I'll show you what she looks like. It was sad. It was very sad when I saw it. There's no sound, by the way. So young Ella passed away. She passed at age 9. What's sad about it is it turned out it was due to air pollution. So just to go full house circle of what I was actually talking about was basically one of the regulators of this country, and to make sure that we improved in better. And funny enough, UK was the worst amongst Europe, was to improve our air pollution. Do you understand? And improve and make better quality air. Long story short, we don't. And Europe always got onto us. Now we're out of Europe. There's no one to regulate us. There's no one to get onto us. We can do what we want. As a cause of this young 9-year-old, you won't hear it, but this young 9-year-old passed away and died.
Horrible, man.
She died 2013, I believe.
Is this London?
Bruv.
Yeah, in London, South London. So you know what's horrible about where she died? You know how old she would have been, guys? She'd been around your ages.
Yeah, no, that's actually mad.
She would have been. She would have been. Yeah, should have been. No, she should have been 2013, bro.
Yeah, 2013.
Oh yeah.
7 years, yeah, 6 years.
So should have been around your ages, yeah. She'd be probably just leaving, getting ready for either she's in college or she's just about to start college.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking because you look at that and you just go to yourself, like, boy, like that could be anyone's family member. So that was one of the news things I was going to bring up. That was this week. But that's actually there's a good news story about that. Is the fact that the mother involved had been fighting against the justice system, just trying to say that she just died of respiratory problems and just died. Anyone can die. She was arguing. Anyone can die from that. She wanted actual like pinpoint what it was, and they finally came to a verdict that where they lived in southeast London, it seems like it was somewhere around Lewisham areas where there's a lot of motorway, which now scares me.
Yeah, I heard about it as well.
Yeah. There's so much air pollution. It made her asthma worse. And it's crazy because I've always thought it's mad that when people say when you go to another country, you feel better. You feel like your asthma's gone. That shouldn't happen. If you've got an actual chronic illness, then you've got a chronic illness. That then means the problem isn't you as an individual. Not saying that if you ever have a chronic illness, it's you. But it means it's your environment. It means your environment is dangerous to you, your body. The fact that it can trigger you to randomly have asthma, but you can go to another place and not have asthma. I don't get how people look at it and go, so here's an asthma pump. No, it means the area is a problem. It means London's polluted. It's not give them an asthma pump. It means there's a problem there. It's not, because I've always said it doesn't make sense. I remember years ago when I was 9 and I saw a thing where it said, if you lived in Sussex, you're more likely to have breast cancer. If you lived over here, you're more likely to have this. And I was like, I always remember that was a moment my brain triggered as a young boy. And I went, that doesn't make sense. If you're going to get a disease, you're going to get a disease. If you're telling me the area, if in a certain area you're more likely, that means there's something environmental causing that. Whether it's food, whether it's too many restaurants or fast foods being open to cause bad health, whether it's something in the air to inhaling bad substances. There's something. Do you know what I mean? It can't be just because you're in that area. What? So that sounds like DNA shit, and that's not true. That's not how DNA works. Do you get what I'm saying? So from that moment, I've always said that when I hear people say, "Oh, if you live in this area, you're more likely to get this cancer. If you live in that area, you're more likely to have asthma. If you live in this area, you're more likely to suffer from how do I say it? Eczema, eczema.
Eczema.
Like that's BS to me. That's just BS. It's always been BS to me. And I've always said, but then you hear these people, they go on a holiday to Jamaica or they go on a holiday all the way to Greece and they say, oh, it all cleared. Then that doesn't mean you've got better because
you took a holiday.
Yeah, that means there's something wrong with where you are. Do you know what I mean? There's an issue where you are.
I find that mad, you know.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
I find that very mad.
I could be wrong. But I remember learning this in geography. I think regardless of if we're in the EU or not, I think the UK and a lot of European countries are still like in part of some sort of agreement as part of an external body.
Yeah.
Like to like regulate stuff like this. I could be wrong. But I'm very certain that they're a part of this regardless.
I'm gonna say this wrong, not the OzCalls agreement, but there's something. There's a sign. It's like a G5. You know, you got G7 and all that stuff.
I'm pretty sure it's something along them lines.
Yeah. They've made an agreement that because that was another thing. I don't know if anyone watched it this week. This is the first time Johnson's done this. He said, and it's funny that he finally come and do it because he was backing his boy before his boy was gone, but he was backing his boy all the way to the end, Mr. Trump. But now he's finally said, he said something's worse. He said, what is worse than COVID-19 right now? And it's actually more dangerous is global warming.
Climate change. Amazing.
That's amazing.
It's funny that he finally now realizes that he's finally come out with it, but
it's at a point now where you can't even like even the people who think it doesn't exist just look, they're at a point where they just look stupid. Because it's all around you, bro. You can literally, everyone's witnessing the climate change, like, moving mad at such a crazy rate. Like, the UK, every summer, is getting a stupid heat every single year. And then you see it on the news as well. You're seeing all these polar ice caps completely melted. Like, if you look a photo of something in the Arctic from, like, 10 years ago to now, it looks like a completely new place. It's ridiculous.
You can see Greenland more. And Greenland was one of those places where it was majority always was snow, and then every summer, then you saw the green. Now you see it for longer periods. That should say something. And then as well, someone said it to me the other day, and I was like, "This is so true." Everyone forgets that there was a point where every year around February, March, we seem to get a weird 5 days of summer.
Yeah,
like weird.
That's actually
Like randomly, like for the last 5 years, we've just been getting this random between February and March, random, really hot weekend. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, so there's clearly something not right. And then when we get bad weather, we really get bad weather. Like the winds, that I think it was last month. The winds, I actually felt it pushing me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's terrible, bro. It's terrible, fam.
I don't know. But what else? But yeah, so yeah. Anyway, that's technically what I said about the young girl. It was good news because they got some form of justice. I don't know how. I don't know. Can you sue the government for that? Because technically, since Khan has come into power, he has been trying to do low emissions and X, Y, and Z. The problem is, it's just pushing it out to the edges. I guess now it makes sense why they're doing a congestion zone, emission congestion zone on the now South Circular and North Circular, because that's where I think she lived near, which is where a lot where Lewisham is and all those areas are. So I don't know. Next thing, bit of news, which is another bit of good news. I don't know if you've heard, but Wretch has become
That's massive. That's massive.
Def Jam's creative director.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's incredible.
I mean,
you couldn't ask for a better person to be in that position either. Really.
Yeah, someone who loves the arts, who loves all types of arts as well. He's not. I hope obviously he does bring some form of cohesiveness and harmony to all the genres of styles of music, and try and get them, like, I don't know, create a better future.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I do, but I'm not sure exactly what that role specifically entails. But I would also hope that like that forms more of a bridge between like the US UK music scene. You know, like make our artists much bigger than they should be.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is a huge step in that direction anyway. Like people are probably going to be like, "Who's Rich?" You know, from the States, and then put onto him like one of our country's greatest like artists. That's mad.
Yeah, I think it's just amazing. I was very happy to see that. So that was more good news of the week. I don't know if you know who this person is. The next person I'm going to talk about, Gerard Houllier.
Yeah, of course.
Liverpool legend. Arsenal's nemesis. Like, if Arsenal was seen as the FA Cup king team, he was seen as the FA Cup manager king next to Arsene Wenger. Like, he was a guy. I remember my heart breaking when he had Michael Owen and they scored against us. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, he was an amazing manager. He passed away at 72.
Won the treble as well.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it was just really sad to hear that he passed. I don't know. Yeah, he passed away. I haven't gone into too much detail to understand how he passed away. I just know.
I'd assume it's age at this point.
I thought
I feel like a lot of players and managers in that like era, a lot of them seem to be passing. Like even like Maradona so recently, but that's probably because of the amount of cocaine in his body.
Yeah, he was. I mean, you got to remember, the last World Cup, he had a heart attack then.
It's crazy.
And he survived.
73, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see let's see. So Julia spent 6 years at Anfield. Oh, is it heart problems? Did you see it?
Yeah, it says it at the end of the second paragraph.
He stepped down from his role at Villa Park in June following a year shortly after falling ill with heart issues.
Right. I remember that era, 98 to 2004.
Oh, yeah, they were the days, man.
He broke my freaking heart. Very sad. But yeah, legend. We didn't get to talk about Barbara last week, but R.I.P. Barbara as well. Barbara Windsor.
Yeah.
Carry On.
Oh,
I respectfully and legendary knew her. Knew her as a legend on Carry On movies. None of you will know what I'm talking about. The Carry On movies.
Oh, Omar thinking people only live in the year 2000
okay, cool.
again.
Okay, Jack. Maybe you know, but if I say to Lamar,
I can't lie. I don't know now, but
you don't go past EastEnders. So
I never watched EastEnders. So what? How about that?
Never watched it.
No, I watched Coronation Street in Emmerdale.
And you don't watch EastEnders?
EastEnders, they're all dead, bro. I hate so much. It's the worst.
soap operas, fam.
EastEnders used to be the lick.
She's
And
iconic
everyone-
though. Like I know her. Like obviously, I watched the Carry On films, but she's more prominent and iconic. I'll say now because of EastEnders.
Yeah, 100%.
Like she's just like iconic in it. Even though I didn't watch it, you can't not know who she is. Same with like Dot and that.
Yeah, she was even like seen as a hottie back in her time when she was young.
She wasn't, did you say?
No, she was seen as a hottie back in her days, in her time. She was good in EastEnders.
Buddy, fam. Buddy.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, R.I.P. Barbara. I'm trying to think. Have I got any? Was there anything else?
Obviously, try and keep it positive, but in other sad news, if you lot had seen on Hannah's story, there's like it could be classed as a genocide in Ethiopia right now. It was a similar situation to like that in Nigeria. Government locked off all communications. Army come through, slaughter people.
Yeah, I heard about this, and I didn't know. I guess they've succeeded. I couldn't find much information on it.
That's what I mean. There isn't much information about it. It's just reports from like actual witnesses, and there isn't much more than that.
No, that is mad.
Well, yeah, man. Hopefully next week when we do in person, we can get a bit more information. And just like the Nigerian situation, they can be outed. I think the problem is Nigeria is more westernized than Ethiopia. So it was always going to be a bit more easier for Nigeria to get that information out.
Yeah.
Ethiopia was on their way to being more westernized. So, yeah, I don't want to go to Birmingham. Or, I don't know. Anyway, we've heard about the rise. We're in tier 3, London lot. And if you know we're in tier 3, then you know that there's a new strain of the vaccine. There's a new strain
Oh, yeah, there is.
Virus.
Yeah. Which, if anyone did their research in the beginning of the first lockdown, this is not new to me. I don't know if anyone else did any, but I did research. So I always knew this is what their biggest fear was. The reason why they said the vaccine wasn't their big thing in their heads was it wasn't getting the vaccine. It's like if it acts like what they're calling it, the flu. Is it a rhino flu? Is it rhino? Like you got corona, then you got rhino. I don't know. Anyway, if it acts no difference to it, then it's always going to keep mutating. If it keeps on mutating, we're never going to really be able to keep up with it. Do you know what I mean? And already it's already mutated. But apparently it's a weaker strain.
Oh, that's good. At least it's being a bit more gentle this Christmas. That's really polite.
I'm so dead. I'm actually dead.
Yeah. And then a funny, but it's not funny. It's actually taking a piss, but I find it funny. Boris Johnson's former chief advisor, Dominic Cummings, if anyone, we talked about him, he's part of the reason why we're leaving Europe. No, he is the reason, because he manipulated loads of racist people and people who were stupid to believe that, I'm sorry, I shouldn't call you stupid. Naive to believe that leaving Europe was just a case of stopping brown people getting in. You know what I mean? Okay, for those people anyway. He got a 40 grand pay rise before he left.
Disgusting.
So yeah, that's and you know what's mad? I find more annoying about Brexit. All these people who wanted Brexit, they will have no problem paying for visas. Remember, visas don't fluctuate or flex between what do you call it? Between how much you're getting paid. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If a visa is £100, it's £100 for everyone. So if you're someone on freaking 60 grand a week, that £100 is nothing to you.
Yeah, it's like what?
Selfish mustards. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, they picked for us to get out of Brexit. Anyway, that's Dominic Cummings, and that's the news of the week. I don't know if anyone got all those. You know why I enjoy news of the week. I love seeing some of your faces where you didn't know about it. So I was like, oh, you missed it.
Yeah,
you know what it is? We always get to this bit, and I never prepare for it. But there's always stuff that I forget about during the week as well.
Yeah,
like, I'm just trying to go through like socials and thank you, and things of like what else has happened. I seen what was it? Shaq was saying today they're trying to tear down Brick Lane.
Yeah,
mad.
Is that true?
Well, it must be. There's a massive petition.
They can't take away Brick Lane.
Well, it looks like they're going to.
Taking away Brick Lane is like taking away Piccadilly to people who live in like that kind of retro lifestyle.
It's gonna happen. I mean, the market's gone now?
Yeah, the market's pretty much gone. Every time I'm there's no market. And that used to be booming, that market.
That's probably going to turn into apartments the same way everything else does.
That's just mad. That's culture right there. You know what? Next they'll be doing, what do you call it? Bagel King in South. They'll be getting rid of that. Like, they're not going to stop doing this, innit? It's money though, isn't it? Everyone cares more about the money. All right. So anyway, let's get into the first subject of today. So the first subject we was going to talk about was the respect between the generations. So I'll give everyone 30 seconds. Is there respect between one another? After recent comments that I saw,
oh yeah, in the group, yeah,
I was in a group. Yeah, I was like, whoa. I was like, a little bit of me was like, raw, like.
Did I miss a conversation or something? Or was it something else?
It was put in our group chat, bro.
Yeah, it was put in.
basically calling, basically saying somebody
Oh
old.
yeah. Sorry, my bad. I forgot.
He's
Yeah,
old.
so
He's 22. What other things like mortgages?
boy.
God damn. God damn.
So, yeah, it was a goddamn moment. It was like, wow. Like, I remember just thinking, wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So the point is that is there a lack of,
Respect.
yeah, is there a lack of respect
Yeah.
for one another? I know I put it one way, but actually for one another.
Mm.
I know. I say is there a lack of respect given to the younger generation, but is there like something happening that was? I feel like I'm seeing before my eyes. It's happening slowly, where both generations are losing respect for one another.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah,
Who's going first?
let me let you go around.
I'll go first.
Go on, yeah, Jack, go.
Oh, sorry, Dijon.
I don't know, go.
I think try and keep this 30 seconds. I reckon I hear what you're saying. I think the respect's still there to a degree. I think it's still there naturally, but that's so polite. Thank you. My mum made me a drink.
Hey.
Non-alcoholic, guys.
Oh my god. Bro, you're 30 seconds.
Oh, sorry. You know what, Dijon, you go in it. Let me think.
Alright, yeah, say that. Alright, cool. For me, yeah, I feel like there's mutual respect, to be honest. But I feel like from my understanding, there's some sort of kind of weird tension between like the middle generation and the older generation. But then I think there's more of a mutual grounding between us youngers and the older generation. But yeah, me personally, I don't really, you know what I mean? I don't really see a lack of disrespect. Actually, no, I've heard. Yeah. For me, I'll say middle generation and oldest. I've just heard, I don't know where it is. Yeah. I'm just gonna yield my time for now because I just remember some stuff.
Yeah,
but, yeah, man.
Then you start thinking in it, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why. So on my time, what I would say for my 30 seconds, I think it depends on what we look at respect, but I think there is beginning to be a lack of respect for one another, or a lack of acknowledgement to the way people do things. And Timberland said something that I think that olders don't like. There's working hard, and then there's working smart. And I think sometimes the older generation who's used to working hard look at working smart as lazy. But that's my 30 seconds done. Yeah. Well, to me, it's not lazy, but yeah, cool. I think that's what they're looking at as. Anyway, cool. Yeah, Jack, you're up. Let's go.
Okay. I think it's different if we're talking real life, like normal day-to-day life, and then in the dancing. I think respect is still there, but I think the respect is there between certain generations, like Dijon was saying. So I think someone who's a much younger dancer will have a lot more respect for someone who's the generation above than the ones who are much, much older, where they haven't exactly seen their craft and where they're like more or less the beginnings and pioneers of their time, because they haven't seen it. I think they have a lack of respect for their man there. But otherwise, lack of respect towards another, 100%. But in dance, I think it's a bit there, but I think it's a lot more subjective. But I'd say respect is still there usually.
Definitely subjective.
Cool, Lamar.
I personally agree with all you lot. I think that there is a little shift to say that there is a little bit of, lack of respect. But I think with young people, especially now, even just us as people, I think we're progressing to be ruder and meaner people as time goes on, to the point where
100.
it's like, especially for us young people, if we haven't seen you do anything, for us it's like, who are you? But it's different for us in like dance, because it's like, if you haven't seen anything or heard anything, then it's like we don't know you. It's different for like, say, somebody in music, like you got documentaries, you got all these people that can literally say this person was blah 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 blah, even after they've passed. But really and truly, in dance, if you have not seen it and if we don't know it, if it's not right there in our faces, we ain't paying attention to it.
Yeah, it's true still.
That's a good point. So what do you think? That's actually a really good point. Yeah, I don't. What do you think should be? Okay, what do you think should be? Why do you think that is? What do you think happened? I mean,
don't
Dijon
know,
mentioned,
I
Dijon
think
mentioned middle age. Like, I don't get. Yeah, like what happened?
There was a couple episodes ago. I remember we spoke about it, and apparently it was like I forgot who said it, but I think it was the situation where the older generation, like back when the middle generation were like kids and that, every time they'll try and come to you lot for help or something, not help, but like a bit of guidance, then they kind of got like tough love or like the cold shoulder. So I think as they've grown up, apparently they've kind of grown up and they've become more like, cool, I'm just gonna just F it and just do my own thing and just do my own style. Hence the reason why we have certain like people in our generation, not in our generation, in the middle generation, who are very like experimental with what they do and they just don't really care and they don't really follow certain rules and regulations and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I think that's why I think it was probably just what happened before like we came, I guess, and just kind of like resentment. I think. I don't know, but yeah.
I think as time goes on, this is just me, and I'm obviously very, very biased. Yeah. So my generation, I'm like, let's say the 99 to 2000 bracket. Yeah. I think that's the very last, in my personal opinion. I think that's the very last generation that isn't completely messed up, because I think everyone beneath that, above that, sorry. So I guess like 2001 plus, have grew up in an extremely different world where like, and you might not think that there's a big difference between those ages, but I think like being in that sort of age bracket, you really, really see it, like that everyone posts that, not necessarily you guys. I think you guys are dope in it, but I think like people in general, that you're growing up in an era where like there's only like just technology, and there's just less exposure to like human contact. Like there isn't many real life like situations where you learn respect and basic things. And
Social
I also think that's pretty much. And I also think the whole I forget what the word is, but the whole like thought process of respect your elders has also gone out the window completely. And that's a conversation in itself, because I think a lot of time, I think now people are realizing that just because someone's older than you, you don't necessarily have to respect them. I think you have to respect everyone no matter what. But if an older person's chatting to you, like, and giving you straight disrespect for no reason just because you're younger, the younger generation now will not just take that just because of an age thing. They will chat back, and that happens between teachers, between like even some parents if you're like a bad youth, and just in that sense. So I think when we're looking at the younger generations, there's a lack of. I think there's just like a thought process now where I won't respect you unless you respect me back. And because that older generation is still kind of in that process of you're younger than me, you don't know nothing, this, that, and the other, they naturally treat them with like a bit of disrespect, or it get interpreted as disrespect. And it's just like, it just drives a wedge between the generations because of just how differently they're kind of brought up.
Yeah,
If you know what I mean?
I hear that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you actually no, go on, bro?
Oh no. I was gonna say, so that's what you think's. Do you think that's what the problem is now? Is just that we all think differently to how one, like, obviously it's a dance show, we're talking about dance stuff, but
Yeah.
I've like you mentioned something where I've noticed that even spilling into normal life. Like
Yeah,
I walk
it is
down the
normal
road,
life. Like,
I walk down the road and I'll get youngers who, you know, okay, so back in the day, if I was walking down the road when I was a little boy and I see an older walking towards me, I moved out the way.
Yeah,
That's 9-year-old Omar. And as I got older, the youngers there moved out my way. Now I'm a full-on like pledged adult. I walk, and the youngers don't even pay.
Don't care.
They don't give a shit.
They don't care. Like they don't
I
get
don't.
it.
It's
Like,
weird,
that's
bro.
what I'm saying. The
in
younger
my way.
generation now are disrespectful. And
I
like,
can't. You know.
I'm having two conversations. I think in
Yeah.
dance, I really don't think it's as big of a deal. But in real life, the younger generation are tapped. It's so tapped.
You know what I think it is about dance?
So tapped.
Everyone's scared to say what they actually think when it comes to dance. I feel like with
Yeah,
people
man.
outside of dance, they can not say with their chest, but you'll get what they think along the line. With dance, if they don't actually open their mouth and actually say what they're thinking, you probably might not ever find out.
I hear you still. I hear you. I don't know. It's weird. You know what's weird? Yeah, it's the fact that our generation, our younger generation is perceived as so disrespectful, but then at the same time, our younger generation is so sensitive. Like in dance situations
Oh,
where,
100%.
like, literally, we was talking about the other day at rehearsal, and you lot were saying how the old IMD, like, it was a madness, and now it's just like, you know, if someone gets hurt, then you actually pay attention to what's happening, and you know, give them a bit more care. Sometimes they still move, you know what I mean? But like, it's just weird how like it's just one part of the younger generation is like bare disrespectful, but then the other part is just bare sensitive, and like any excuse you have is just like, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that. So it's weird. I think it's just, yeah, our generation is kind of tough. I think it comes with age. At certain ages within our younger generation, you know, I think we're divided still. Because when I think of younger generation, I feel like for example, me and Lamar and Kamani's age, we're slowly coming out of that generation now because we're getting older. So I think but we're still obviously young. So I think it's kind of divided into like teens, then pre-teens, or like young adults and stuff like that. So I think, yeah, I don't know, it's all mad.
I think what it is, I think it's also society has become more woke, and the people around it have become more woke. And there's nothing. I think Piers Morgan said this the other day when someone got onto him on LBTV or something. You know that radio channel. I like to listen to it.
Yeah,
and they have like debates. Oh yes, and they have the debates about Brexit and all that stuff. Anyway, and he said there's nothing wrong with being woke, but there's a different type of woke this generation is in comparison to what was woke before. There was woke like when you was aware, like what we talked about, like common sense stuff. Like I've liked your mum said something and she was like, yeah, Omar, I was right. I just seen it, and it was just about like the environment, like the common sense. It's not that where you've gone has cured you; it's where you are is poisoning you. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's that woke, and then there's the woke where people, and I don't even think it's an age situation on this particular conversation. There's a woke where people force it onto you, and I think in the dance term, the younger generation don't want that anymore. So now they're woke in another way where they're like, I've realized I don't need your help. And it comes back to what I said at the beginning about on my 30 seconds of what Timberland said. There's working hard and there's working smart. But I think the problem is with our older generation, we don't notice that it's them working smarter. We look at it as they're working
lazy.
Lazy. They're working less. So not pushing as hard. But I think that's also caused that big wedge because there is that generation, like I said, I call it a generation. There's many different generations before.
Yeah.
Like even me, we were talking about like Ken, and between me and Ken and a few others, they're actually many generations above me. There's things that I wasn't a part of that they did back in the early late 90s, 2000s. Do you get what I'm saying? So there's many different little bits, and like I call my generation the generation of like Omar, Bismarck, Jade, like the certain people around that age. Then I actually, even though we class the generation of like the Taneas and Corys underneath us, technically they were our youngers, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And the ones that were more like our Padawans or apprentices or learning from us were more of the actual, technically, was more of the Gillies and them age people, because they were in the 27s and the 28s while we were a bit more older. So in terms, if you put that correlate that to age of that time, they were the 17 and 18-year-olds, and we were like what Jack you are now, 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds.
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I guess what's happened, something happened between that category where I think that generation had enough. I think that's why that message I saw, it wasn't the first time the message, I don't want to out the message that we saw, because I don't want that's not what this show's about so far, but
I'm dead.
one day we're just gonna be raw, and then we're gonna get this, and we're gonna go viral for Beach being raw and being idiots. But well, I do think we need to do it one day. Anyway, but what I saw personally wasn't the first time I'd seen this, and there's a whole group of these people I've seen say this before. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's not the first time I've seen that group of people say it. So I think people are hurt. I think people are hurt. I think people are hurt.
Yeah, for resentment.
There's something hurting internally, and I do think I just think it's just what I just said. It's literally people have had enough of being told they're wrong.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's with the whole, and also different perceptions as well. Like literally, just as you mentioned, that the older generation perceives things much differently from the way we perceive things. So then there's gonna be a natural clash because we don't think about things the same. You know what I mean? I will agree though, some people in our generation are just generally lazy. But I think one thing that we have spoken about in a couple of episodes is like this whole TikTok thing and the fact that, you know, people can actually use that platform and be smart, etc. and stuff like that. So yeah, I will say I think this generation, I think we've been given more where we can actually, like, what's the word? Capitalize off it. You know what I mean? We can just capitalize off of more opportunities. And I feel like the old generation, they didn't get that. So they just they can't relate and they just don't see the common sense in it. But to us, it's like, it's right in front of us. You know, like, why not? You know what I mean? And I think there's no need to work as hard as you guys did back in your day because it's like, it's kind of unnecessary. Do you know what I mean? Like when you look at it in the sense of like, why am I gonna walk up the stairs if there's an elevator kind of thing? You know what I mean? Like there's a lift, I might as well just get, like, it's just that kind of analogy there.
Yeah.
That's what I think is the problem right now.
I was gonna touch on that because I think that's where in the older generation you find a little bit of resentment because there's could be a bit of disrespect found and obviously a bit of disrespect found in there as well. I think because it's so much easier and accessible to do things nowadays than when like the older generation were older. I think there's a bit of resentment of how easy people are given opportunities. And also, I think a bit of jealousy might lie in that resentment as well. It has to, because it's like, I agree. Yeah. So I think that also drives a wedge. But then again, on the other hand, you have people in that same generation which are so happy to see people thrive and get mad when they don't capitalize on it. So it really depends on the person.
Yeah, once again, subjective, innit? But I think in general there's sly, you know, clashes, but I think that's normal. You know what I mean? Like whether it's like another scene, it's not just a dance scene. I think anywhere you go, you're not gonna have 100% harmony, but then you won't have 100% like war. It's gonna be a balance, even if it's one slightly more than the other. I think it's just normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think in that sense that balance, because I think it's really good. The older generation that do get angry at the younger generation not capitalizing on it, it's like, okay, you're not working, you're not capitalizing in this way, but like how am I trying to word this? I have respect for the older generation that get onto the younger generation for not doing more when they should. I like it. I like the fact that they might not work as hard as they did, but they make them work hard in other ways that almost replicate the same sort of work ethic and drive that they should have if they want to succeed as a dancer and in life in general. Do you know what I mean?
That's very true.
100.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think it's also mad though, because then sometimes, see how you mentioned the thing of sometimes the oldest will get onto the youngest for not working as hard, but then what that just kind of sparked is as well, sometimes oldest get onto youngers when I feel like they're actually doing enough, but then sometimes it's kind of like they're not doing it in their way, so maybe that's why they're getting onto them. Like there's just different examples of that. Like I feel like I've low-key kind of seen sometimes that kind of hostile kind of energy. You know what I mean? But
I think what you all said, I'm going to look back at this and say how many times I said I think. I believe you are all correct. I believe there's definitely some hostility. I believe there's definitely a bit of jealous and resentment. But then that's happened. It's like we talked about. It's kind of full circle of what we were talking about before with the disease. That's always slightly happened.
Yeah.
Our generation before didn't like what we were doing. And they thought we were lazy.
Yeah, that's mad.
Because I'm going to do it on a music, and because I'm obviously a music guy, so like drill, hip hop, all that stuff. So I make those beats, and they would see the way I make beats, and they would look and be like, "That's not real music."
Oh yeah.
because they were used to the days where they would play the piano and then they would have the guitar, and now I was doing that but digitally.
Okay, yeah.
But I get frustrated, and I become my older generation. When I see the new guys, they're not playing now on the keyboard digitally. They're pressing a button and then pressing another button, put it together, slap it, and go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not musical.
It's
But in the next
that's
generation, someone's just gonna go on Facebook, tap together, and make a beat. And that generation, now, is gonna look. You can do it. And they're gonna look at that, and they're gonna be pissed. They'll be like, "That's not musical."
Yeah.
Back in the day, we used to have to find the samples, press a button, and do it. Now you just go on Facebook and mouse click. You don't even press it on the keyboard. Do you know what I mean? Like, at least we press it on the keyboard. That's music. But you ask half these musicians, they don't even know what a note is. Do you get what I'm saying? But then. No shots fired at the drillers, but do you know what I mean?
No, it's mad. I went on my computer uni. It's got Logic Pro on there, and I never installed it, but I was just bored one day and just having a look on there, bro. You can literally just make a beat from the stuff they give you. Like
sample loops. You get sample loops.
Yeah, bro. You just throw in a preset. Yeah.
Mad. It's so
like
mad.
A bit of bass, 1-2 snares, and you got a tune.
It's actually
It's
so
a timing
easy.
changing thing. It's almost like, and I know every single person has gone through it, especially like colored people. How many times your parents have gone and said, in my day, that would have never happened.
But then that's the exact thing.
See what you just did there. Grandma would have whooped me for that. Granddad would have done me for that. Blah, 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 blah. But obviously now we got things like Childline and things like that. And no one's
Childline.
I'm so dead. Yeah, it's mad.
It's literally just like change of times. Like, even to the point where I'm seeing like, I mean, they have that type of relationship. I'm assuming it's a healthy relationship. So, round of applause to you. Like, daughters and mothers using the B word as greeting each other. And I'm thinking, you know what?
I'm so dead. I'm actually
that
so
could
dead.
never run with me and my mom. But hey, if that's how you lot.
No, but that's what I'm saying. See, you started, Lamar. You're only freaking like 19, and you started.
Yeah,
You started doing it.
You're
only 19.
But then again,
19.
my mom is like okay, I'm not gonna say mom's old, but she's older than like say an average person that's my
No. But we, because every one of you's here, you all have a mum in your way where what their parents treated them was a little bit different, but you have this level of you understand. Like, even forget about dance for a second. Any one of those that generation who are like 18 plus, there's a little bit of a difference of how you feel towards your parents. This new let me bring it up. Let me bring up my daughter. My daughter did something the other day, I thought, what the blood? What the? Like, I was like, I would never dream of this. So Neve, we was in the Boy Blue show, and I finished filming. We finished doing filming. You know, what I had to do the broadcasting live thing. Yeah, I finished. Yeah, started packing stuff away. I said, Neve, come over, get your stuff. Now, let me pause. When my mum said, and let me say, my mum didn't say Omar. She said Kwabna. That's my African name. When she said my African name, it means it was going down. She said Omar. I was good. When my African name came out, and it came out in front of people, I was fucked.
He was done. Wrong day.
Kwabna. And then she spoke English. I was more scared. Because if she spoke any other language, it meant she just didn't want no one to hear what she was saying. If she went Kwabna, come here now, I was like, shit. Now, let me rewind back to the situations. When she said my name, she didn't even say come here now. She said my name. Yes, mum. Walk up to her. Let's rewind to this generation now. Neve, come here now. Why? What? And you know what it is? You know what it is? She'll never do this in the house. Never do this in the house. I'm like, oh. She doesn't know Childline exists, but she knows people exist. And she knows Daddy's not going to hit her in front of everyone. Daddy's not going to give her a wallop. So I'm like, oh, Lord. Children are woke from freaking 6 years old.
You know, actually, no. They man think children are smart.
They know. She knows.
They're finesses.
I'm not going to give her that beating. Because let me tell you now, when Ken and everyone left, she went into, Daddy, where do I go? Da-da-da-da-da. She knew no one was around to protect her. So I was like, hey, You know you could take your time because you know people are around.
Yeah.
So let me just say the generation is different. It's very different in
Yeah.
terms of how people can take the piss. And I think going back to the dance aspects of it, when someone talks to my elders, when they used to talk to me from the likes of a Dre or a Ken or any of them, even Danielle, as in Rhymes or them, if they talk to me,
Yeah.
I took it in because it was like, you're my older. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think now it's kind of going full circle what we talked about, the other thing about information being out there. Because the information is out there in other ways, I think the younger generation, they do like to hear us olders, but the generation just underneath us and a bit before that, they don't think they need to listen to us because they got the information. If they really want to care about what Mr. Wiggles thinks, they'll just type it on Google. Do you know what I mean? They don't need to find a source and ask the question. They'll just look it up. Do you know what I mean? And then they have their preference. And I think that's but I just think the resentment is beginning to, and I think that's what it is. The resentment is the older generation are so used to a way of working. Unfortunately, our generation came on the tail end of it. That's why we're slap in the middle of the new generation and the old. We're right slap in the middle of the way the old ways worked to the way the new ways worked. And I think we're confused. We are. I'm not trying to put my generation down, but we're confused. We're not accepting because the older generation helped your Busta Rhymes, and the Busta Rhymes helped your next one, and then your LL Cool J's helped. You know what I mean? Like even if they didn't agree with the way they was rapping, they helped each other. But just like the music world, something happened between the guys of, let's say, Eminem's and that, and then the new generations, and same thing in the dance world. That has something happened between like my lot and the new lot, where the younger ones went, we don't need you. And that's what happened with your little Uzi Verts and all them lot or whatever. They went, we don't actually need you. We don't need your help. We don't need your guidance. We're making money and we're finding ways of doing it without your old ass way.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the word that was used. The washed up ways.
I knew you was gonna bring it up. You just burned it. It's mad.
You know what I mean? Then the older generation go, but then the older generation slightly know they can't do shit. I maybe I'm making my older generation sound bad because I think they can't do shit about it because they're kind of like, you're kind of right. Like I think some of my generation are cottoning on to what is happening and they're being smarter than the younger generation. So the likes of Swooshes, the likes of Tega, they're a bit more smarter on what they're doing. They're capitalizing on the situation. That's working smart for me. There's working hard and then there's working smart. They're going to the world of let me work smart. And the older generation, obviously it's around the same generation. There's some people from that are going, nah, that's not art. That's not real dance. And it's like,
that's what it is.
I get that. And I think there's not, but maybe, and I have my views on TikTok. I'm one of the people who feels it's not real art and BS like that. But I do, my audio, yeah. I do feel, what do you call it? That personally, I think the older generation should get over themselves and just start working. And if anything, if we know better, we're not that old yet. If you're around 37, 30, fudge it. Like what I see Ken do and Frank and those people who are in their 40s or going 50s. And I'm like, nah, even Johnsy's getting with time. Do you know what I mean? John ZD is getting with time and how he's doing. So we can do the same. So if they, like Dijon, you mentioned, if there's a younger generation of kids that are actually being lazy, that's an opportunity for myself. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think it's going to boil. I think at some point it's going to get a bit hot. Yeah. There's going to be a point in the dance scene where and people are going to say enough's enough.
And then they battle and the old people's ligaments break mid-battle. I thought I was just thinking that. Sorry, I know we're moving on just quickly. Yeah. Just a thought I was having during this whole thing. I think a lot of people in the younger as generations get younger, I think a lot of people as they realize there's other means of being successful on your own without the assistance of elders. I think because of that they reject a lot of advice, even when it's handed to them freely or willingly. And I think that's a problem with the younger generation because I don't think there's even if it's advice you don't agree with, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's important to hear everyone's advice, and I'm talking in the dance scene. I think it's important to take on everyone's advice, whether you agree with it or not, because I think that would only benefit you
It will broaden your knowledge.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, 100%.
Like even if it's something like, I don't know, for stupid, like 5G is the reason COVID exists. Like, yeah, you're an idiot, but like, thank you for telling me that you're an idiot. I'm now gonna take that and think on my own because of what you've told me. You know, it can only benefit you. So I think a lot of people need to open up to advice, regardless of if it's like stupid. Just willing to hear people out in it and not be so stuck in your ways, whether you're old or young.
Yeah, one thing real quick, I want to say, because I just thought of this here, is like, I feel like our generation, when we get to like, and we always talk about this, when we get to like 17, 18, I think it becomes more of a thing of like, I need to make money. And then when it comes to that, I feel like the generic, not even generic, but the most popular ways right now in our generation and in this time of making money, like people start their own clothing lines, people start sourcing trainers, or like you know what I mean? People start their own brands around those types of things, and it's kind of quick money, you know what I mean? But then right now, and we already spoke about this, like within dance, there's not like sustainable income. Then we're gonna look at that and think, I can't lie, I'm bouncing. But I feel like back in the day, it was more of a thing of like, no, we pushed so far just for us just to stop. Like, are we dickheads? You know what I mean? So I think back in you lot's day, it was like, nah, Bundes, we're gonna take this all the way. Hence the reasons why you have Boy Blues, IMDs, because you lot were just like, you know what I mean? We're gonna go all out, like. But I think right now, like literally as I mentioned, we do have more option. There's more avenues. There's just so much more right in front of us that we don't really feel the need, some of us, to like, actually pursue dance and try and take that somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? So I think, yeah, that's another thing.
But even with saying that, yeah, I've never met, like for our generation, I've never met a set of people, yeah, that all have the same passion. Like, man, them shoes, clothing line, something else, I don't know. But
for girls, lashes,
nails,
nails,
makeup, hair.
Yeah, mad.
Like,
that's what I'm saying.
And obviously, you know, with our generation, everyone likes to bring up quotes on Twitter and said, "Oh yeah, I need to be rich. I need to be rich." But if all of you lot are doing the same thing, you know, there's only a certain amount of people in this world that need their lashes done.
Yeah, word, and yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But that's like, it really shows. And this was a thought that I did the other day. It really shows when you get to the age of making money. I think it shows your character, whether you choose to stick out things that are harder, or whether you just kind of choose to go the not easier route, but the more, you know, popular way of just like, come, let me do this. But then again, it's looked at as working smart or working hard. I don't know.
I think that's today's equivalent of like people joining the rat race, if you know what I mean. Like some people, like let's say whatever older generation, they dance, realize this is dead, boring, go to an office, do a 9 to 5, and I think it's the same for people like that. Like they just don't they don't know what their passion is, but they also don't really care about finding it either. They're just happy to go with the majority flow, and those people will always be there. They're just regular people, you know. They're not gonna go anywhere. And you know, I think that's things like you guys said, like shoes, this, that, and the other, the music, the nails. It's all very like, it's a certain type of London culture as well, and I think that's only going to expand, and more people are going to look towards that, because it's you're at that age where you want to be like popular and you want to fit in and this, that, and the other, and just less and less people want to be their own person and go out and do their own thing.
Yeah, that's true still.
So I think that's only going to get bigger, but you know, it's important that you stay true to yourself in it.
Yeah, 100.
This is so motivational.
Oh my days, how can I forget about the man that do music? Oh my days.
Yeah, but that's
these untalented artists. Jesus Christ.
But you know what's so funny, yeah? So they see when Omar mentioned like the little Uzi verse and them man there. That's what I was deep in. Like at that point in time, because music built up such a large not fan base. They built up such a large source of income. Like they built up such a easy, fast kind of music. Is actually a fast track route. Like
exactly.
You know, but remember, they built that off, but they built it off social media, and I think the world is all seeing that. That's what young dancers are seeing. That's what young musicians are seeing. That's what young actors are now finding their way into the world because they're a model on Instagram. So then they get a job.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I think everyone's now finding the power of it. And I think that's why young people have gravitated to it. Do you get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I think
Yeah.
us older people, we can't keep on getting onto people because
Instagram,
we
so they get
gravitated towards what was it, MySpace and Facebook for that very reason, because we realized how much of a social connection we could make with people that once upon a time would have been seen impossible to make that relationship with unless you had met them or got their phone number or worked with them by fluke. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah. Leading on to the next question, and it's the final question of the day, and then we're done. It's about the dance scene. Well, we're kind of talking about it. Is a dance scene harmonious? So there's a harmony in the dance scene, or is it become more toxic in 2020? So like in 2019 and the years before, it's kind of following what we just talked about. You could tell that there was a little bit of people didn't like certain styles and they would get at people for doing certain things. And 2020, obviously a lot has happened. That's what next week's show is going to be about. What have we learned about 2020? So we're going to this podcast will lead on to that. In 2020, has the dance scene, I mean, as a culture, I can answer that. It's become more toxic. As a not the dance scene, just as a society. Is it toxic? I don't even know the word is toxic. It's toxic, but
toxic.
should I say as in it's realized how toxic it is? From your Trumps to what happened with the Black Lives Matter movement, to then finding out, becoming woke of the Black Lives movement, to simple things like obviously disgusting moments in our lives that we just, not disgusting is the word, horrid things like Kobe Bryant, the amount of deaths this year. I don't know if it's like from Barbara, do you know what I mean? Like just amount to Nigeria. So in terms of society, I would say it's been a very kind of woke and possibly toxic, depending on how you've consumed this year. But I don't think anyone's consumed it in good light. Do you know what I mean? I think there was a moment you could have, but it was a bit hard, where it's got to a point where like you've had enough. Do you know what I mean? So there was a point of reflection. And you went, yeah, I need to take more time for myself and all that stuff. And it was actually a good thing. And now it's like, okay, now it's getting too much. But in terms of the dance scene, has it become more harmonious or become more toxic? I was going to start with Dijon, go across. Oh, yeah, Dijon, there. Go on.
Back.
Yeah.
So,
Airplane headphones.
oh, God. Virgin Airline and that. I can't lie. It's definitely, you know what? It's not become more harmonious. I was going to try and, it's just, I don't think it's been that toxic of a year, but I think with time, everything becomes more toxic. Let's be real. Like, when you really deep it, I think just life as it is becomes more toxic as we move forward. When you really think about it, like everything always, I think we sweep more things under the rug as generations, like as more generations get brought into this world. I think we become more superficial in the sense of like everything always gets swept under the rug. We have passing comments like it's not that deep, or we move and stuff like that. And I think that kind of subconsciously makes you sweep like big issues under the rug, and that just makes your whole lifestyle become toxic. And then yeah, I don't see why that won't be the same with dance, to be honest. You know what I mean? So I think dance as well, I think it hasn't been as open, you know what I mean? It hasn't been as, you know, out in the open, but I think, you know, you never know. But once we're back properly, you might notice that it's actually more toxic. Or it might on the flip side, it could be more like harmonious, because we've actually deeped how easy it is for our whole scene to just get like erased from the public eye. So you might appreciate it more, but I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think on my side, I actually was going to come in harmonious originally, and then I put that question to you. I try to write down the good things and the bad things this year. Not as in, there's obvious bad things that happened this year in 2020. I wouldn't call that toxic. I just call that just a bad, horrible year. In terms of us losing the art through lockdown and what we want to do. But the third toxic, I'll look at what people have been like, and I have to say, people have been pretty toxic. What people have been like on Instagram towards one another, the way people have fought with one another, argued with one another, the way people have spoken about other people. I've had moments, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, oh, I've been a saint. I've had moments where I'm questioning that person and going, why does everyone like that person so much? I don't get it. Like, I've had toxic moments. Do you get what I mean? Like, you know, like, I think, and there's been a lot of things that you're seeing and people purposely not sharing and supporting. So yeah, I would say it's been a woke toxic, but it's been, I think it's for dancing. I think there's been a lot of toxic moments, especially like with the whole situation where, you know, the whole men being claimed to
Oh,
rape young women and all that stuff, and then some people just being picked on because of their names and who they were, like, and still to this day we don't know who this anonymous Instagram of all the names that they threw up and then took them away and then disappeared, like, so yeah, pretty toxic.
mad.
Dijon, I mean not Dijon, Jack.
Close. In terms of in terms of life, I think it's always been toxic. I think 2020 just kind of like rips the plaster off. I was gonna say Band-Aid, but I'm not American. But you know what I mean.
I'm good.
You know what I mean. But in dance, I think I don't think it's an exceptional amount of toxicity. I tried really hard. But it's definitely there, and it's definitely growing 100%. And I wouldn't say in 2020 like so much so, but over the past few years, with like the introduction of, like, I guess you want to call them clout dancers, that and like studio heads and those terms come into fruition a lot more. It's created a lot more of a divide, and it's created a lot more of tension and toxicness. So yeah, I agree. I think it is toxic.
Lamar,
Toxic.
yeah.
Toxic.
Lamar.
I think that I was gonna say both at first, but now I would just think that's just straight toxic. I don't think it has anything. Me personally, I don't think it has anything to do with 2020. I think it's always been toxic. I don't really think there's that much difference between when we're allowed to be outside till now that we're not allowed to be outside. I just feel like the toxic people now.
Yeah, what time is it?
Funny we're talking about toxic. Anyways.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So I just think with 2020, it's just allowed people to get their that word that Jack says.
Merry Christmas,
in
by
a
the way.
certain way.
Come
Ho
on.
ho ho.
My
Yeah,
mum
man,
made
but it's just weird because originally I was gonna say both, just for the fact of like, okay, you may be toxic, but when it's down to like things like when you go on stage, when we perform and things like that, it's like, oh, family. But that's toxic in itself.
That's toxic,
'Cause-
blood. That is fake.
Can I finish?
Yeah, fam. Go on, bro. Raw truth, fam.
So with that being said, I'm thinking, no, that's even more toxic. Because if you're waiting to that crucial moment when you're about to go on stage where you literally just feel like either not talking at all or you're nice to everybody. Everyone has that moment before they go on stage where your actual emotion isn't actually you. So it's literally just there for the moment. But yeah, I would say dancing is toxic. I think it's performing arts in a whole. Like, I think like there's something to do with art where I just think it's just as a whole, it's just very toxic.
Yeah, because we've got to remember we've been obviously the last 30 episodes or 20 episodes, sorry, last 20 episodes or 15, should we say, we've been very UK based. We've changed our approach. We used to be very kind of like all world and everything. But if you remember when we first started, we actually even brought up a lot of what was happening in America as well as UK. And there was a lot of toxic shit happening. Sorry for my language. You know what I mean? Literally around the same time, we had the whole the basically ending up on that list situation. The same thing was happening in America, literally at the same time. And then the same thing was happening apparently in Asia. So countries like China and the Philippines and stuff like that. So like, literally it was happening all over. So the dancing, yeah. So Kobe, the question we were asking and giving everyone about 30 seconds to answer was, is the dance scene in 2020, so not in general, just the 2020, since last year and all that stuff, moving on into 2020, have we become more harmonized, or harmonious is what I said, or has it become more toxic?
I think that's a very interesting answer.
Question.
Yeah, question, bro. I didn't want to correct you, but
Why is it always waffle? It's never an answer.
You guys done? Oh, great.
yeah, go on, bro.
Great
Go on.
question. I would like to come with the answer of, I think it's very harmonious. Whatever that word you said. Is that word? Harmonious?
Harmonious.
Yeah.
Synchronized. Very together. Harmonicity.
That's
the
cute.
word. It's very harmonicity, dude. I'd say this because I feel like this year specifically, surprisingly, I've actually seen a lot of support and networking and connections, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Weirdly, I don't know how or where, but like I know for myself, like I've been trying to not reach out to more people, but just like actually be a generation. I don't feel like people at my age that are a generation, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
I feel like we just all are the same age. And obviously, that's what a generation is. But in terms of like, I feel like the older people, like they will message each other, or like they'll create projects, or they're still working on stuff. Whereas our lot were kind of segregated, usually because we're all so busy or whatever. But this year, I've seen a lot of like connections or like collabs, or just more like togetherness stuff with people that you don't usually see, which is a little plug because my collab shop in next week. So if you would like to head up to my Instagram, it's down here, maybe down here. I definitely collab with Lily Mars. So yeah, go watch that on my Instagram when it drops.
Cheers.
That's very cool.
Cheers.
That's actually really cool because it just made me think a little bit. Like, do you think we base how toxic the scene is just based on our own perspective and what we see? Because
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Kobe, but you obviously have a different view to us. But that's probably because of like the fact you just don't even pay attention to maybe the bad side of it, and it's like you're only seeing the positives. And I think that's a good way to go about it. Like, yeah, this toxicity may be there, but that's not what I'm on. I'm gonna still do collab. I'm gonna network. I'm gonna reach out, and I think that's a cool like way of doing it. I think it's always gonna be there, isn't it?
From my point, it's gonna sound weird. I've just kind of had enough of kind of like how we are with like our not being protective, but like the only way other people can kind of like not respect us, but like see us as that is if we do this. Whereas if we're like this, how can we then say to people, "Oh yeah, respect us"? So the point I'm at now is just kind of like F all that, and let's just like be together and actually dance together because I think a lot of people. I think we spoke about it recently, but if not, maybe I made it up. Like there's so many talented people here, in the UK, that are training, that are already out there, whatever. And some people don't get to see them, some people do, or some people get to see a side of them that they're just showing. That's one thing I realized. Like I dropped it sounds like I'm just plugging myself 24/7. I dropped like an in the fields like solo thing on my page the other day, and I saw a comment from Susan Stockhart, and she was like, everyone sees me like entertain so much, or like I'm doing this, I'm doing that people forget that I can do more. If that kind of makes sense. But unless you see that, you don't really know it. So it's a bit like like so many people can do so much stuff, but they'll never get to see it. Like for example, like we all know the John does taekwondo or martial arts, but not a lot of people know that. Do you know what I mean? So like just bringing every side of everyone out. That's what I'm on this year, man.
Lamar?
Now, what with what Kobe said, yeah, I was thinking, and now looking back, I don't actually think that that word, Jack. I don't actually think that is actually in dance as far as like the art of dance. I feel like the toxic. I'm just gonna say toxicness. I feel like the toxicness is coming from things that have nothing to do with dance per se.
But it's been
infecting.
It's
Yeah.
infecting.
And I feel like a lot of the toxic.
Say it with me, guys. Toxicity.
Toxicity. Wait, hold on.
Hey.
You're a mug. You actually
Wait, no. Hold on. Wait, actually. Wait, hold on.
He's gonna ask
Give me a
Google.
second.
You think
That word.
that bitch can't speak English, right?
That word. I feel like a lot of it is like it has nothing to do with dance, and it's like it's brought in to an art form of expression, and you've brought this personal feelings, emotion stuff, and brought it to something that has nothing to do with it, and you've affected it in a negative way.
No, yeah,
to a
but that's
certain-
just like what
What?
toxicness
Toxic
is.
means, yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
but
What
I
you just-
think
Toxicity.
there we go.
thank you so much, you
welcome.
waste man. I was
Toxicity.
thinking,
Wait. Just go.
oh, I haven't got the powers. I can't do nothing no more on this computer. Anyway,
Yeah, I love it.
Toxicity.
nice. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I think I like what you were saying, but I don't know. I mean, maybe I just see it a lot more. I don't know. I just think it's more prominent as time goes on, because I just think it's also, it ties into the question we just had before. I also think it's a generational thing. Not other generations hating on each other generations, but like maybe say the younger generation just being a bit like, I think toxic traits like jealousy and this, that, and the other like just seep in when like a community grows more, obviously, because like I don't know about you guys, but I think dance obviously dips like 2012 peak and it's dipped down a bit, and I also think in the past like 3-4 years it's also growing slowly a lot more again. And as the scene's getting a lot bigger, you're obviously getting a lot more people involved through whatever avenues. So I think it's inevitable that you're gonna get like the bad stuff in there. Do you know what I mean? So I think because of that, because there's a slow growth, I think there's also a slow growth of like the bad traits in it. But I definitely do think that the good and the supportiveness is a lot more prominent. But I just think that the toxic side of it is also growing, but just at a slower rate. But yeah, no, I hear what Kobe's saying a lot. I think there's a lot more support this year. You know, you see people sharing things. You see people collabing in this, but I think it's a very small, tight-knit community already.
See, Jack, that's why I agree with you. I'm sorry, Cobes. You're gonna probably. I feel it's become more toxic. I feel it's become more clicky, but it once was clicky with just studios. So we started the first part of lockdown with the studio, sort of like it was what studio you're going to. No, sorry, we ended 2019 with what studio? What studio are you part of? You part of Base, you part of 68. That created a bit of toxicity. Toxicness.
Wait.
Oh,
Toxicness
where's the
towards
sound?
ourselves. Do you remember, Kobe? Because we had people getting onto us who don't support us, but was putting us down for deciding that we were going to continue at 68, but would never share our classes. And we started to feel a little bit angry. So that was even us letting that toxicness get into us. It was pissing us off. We moved into 2020, and then that started to migrate into other things, even to the point. That's why I said I wasn't saying people. I included myself. I did toxic stuff. Like I got to a point where I was getting pissed off of people doing online classes. I went from pushing it to being like, why are you doing it if you don't even know what you're doing? So already I'm you know what I mean? And everyone started getting onto each other, and there was this nastiness going on online. Then there was a whole list thing, and people saying that person groomed me, and then other people going. And it was like there was a lot of toxic situations happening. I think what you're doing, Kobe, is what we call the cure. I think that's the cure of how you deal with it. Do you know what I mean? But obviously that's not what the question was. The question wasn't how do we cure it? The question more so, was it toxic? And I feel this year has been very toxic because one of the toxic things that for me has been the very picky, choosy attitude of people in the scene of what they want to support and what they don't want to support, and purely supporting it because of the name of the person, or because they just don't want to F with that person because they don't like that person. Do you know what I mean? And just the way people have been going on, I mentioned myself again. I was part of that. There was one particular situation in which where I asked a question. And I realized, and I said it, I was speaking to my close friend the other day about this. And I said, I realized how wrong that was. And I asked that question. I was like, I don't get it. What is everyone loving about this person? That this person hardly moved. What are they really, like, I don't get it. Like, and I've never been like that. I taught you about the hating thing, but this was the first time where it wasn't Omar's version of hate of it strengthens me to become Hulk. This was actually when I think this is when I realized lockdown was really bad for me. I actually was purely hating. I didn't understand. I would see someone do something to Pop Smoke and no one would give it love. I saw this person do the Pop Smoke and it was, oh my God, the way you move is angelic. And I sit there and I go, I don't get it. I don't get it. And that was toxic. And I can't say the word right now, but that toxicness, that toxicness,
Toxicity.
inside of me that I was pouring and pouring out, I was pouring out on my friends. And then what I found was the only other two people I spoke to about this, they started to feel it. That's toxic. That's toxicness. They would, sorry, I went out. Toxicness. I would have never felt that. And they would have never continued to feel that if I'd ever let my feelings come out. But this is what I noticed. And I noticed the clickiness. I noticed little things like all of a sudden people wanted to be only friends with the people that were getting viral. Do you know what I mean? People were doing something. And then the people that saw that was being toxic. And Kobe, you've been amongst me. We've been toxic about seeing those people all of a sudden doing things for them. You were like, you never even F with that person. When did you start doing it? Why are we caring? Why are we caring? Let's not let that toxicness or toxic feeling that we have. Why are we caring? Let's concentrate on ourselves. There's no problem acknowledging it, but it becomes a problem when you start making it your day to get pissed about. That's toxicness, and I've noticed that it's increased. I noticed it increased around my lot, people I'm around. Always like that's why I think Kobe, you noticed this in rehearsals. I'd be like, I'll leave them. I don't know if you noticed me starting to do that more so. I won't even talk about that person. They could be doing something that was like Lamar, like there was that particular person that once I was really hurt about by the way they went on. I think we were painting, we were talking about it, that really particular person. Obviously a situation, you know what I'm talking about, and it's even relating to other people. Have you noticed me not talk about it no more? Because I realized this year's been so toxic to the point where even myself and Kobe, obviously you're a unique situation. I noticed you didn't involve yourself with that toxicness. I noticed you kind of was like, brush it off the shoulder. You know what I want to do? You know what I want to concentrate my energy on? Let's do some collabs. And I think so. For anyone listening to this, the cure is to probably focus on yourself and improve yourself to shut the people up who are chatting shit. But in answering back to that question, how I feel this year has been, it's been so toxic. Even I've been toxic. Go on, Lamar. Go on.
Yeah, I think with all of that, like you said, I feel like the fact that you've literally got into a point where you don't care. I feel like the reason why we care to a certain extent at first is because I feel like we all come from environments where we're not used to that top. Somebody play the word.
Don't worry, I got you, my guy. I need to have this on standby.
Tox is city, like 3 different.
Bro, what?
Okay,
Tox
I just
city.
heard bear. I just heard
Toxicity.
Toxicity.
She said toxicity. That don't mean
okay. Toxicity.
Bruv, she's from the States.
Anyway,
I don't care
you know
about
what we're
her.
talking about.
Yeah,
but I feel like we come from environments where we're not used to that, especially to not that extent. So when we see it, it's almost like raw. So it's like not you're intrigued, yeah, but it's like you want to know like why. But then you see it happen so much, yeah, to the point where you just get to a point where it's like, you know what, I just don't care. And for us as males, we get to a point where it's like it's pointless, like it's long.
Yeah,
I don't want to say like it's a female thing, but some of you.
No, it is, no. I'm just gonna say how it is. No, a lot of things that was happening, between the male and the female world really spilled out on the dance scene. It really spilled out on a lot of us. It took us to a place where I don't think a lot of us wanted to go anymore. I think we didn't question the love for dance. I think we questioned the love for the dance in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
No, so do you get what I'm saying? So not the dance. The dance. I think if anything, lockdown made us know that we love the dance world. Whether we take it on as something professional, we love that dance world. Like I remember watching Sunny on the B-Boy Red Bull thing. I think I talked about it a few episodes ago. And I remember watching it and going, I love this. I love dance. Like I lost it a little bit. I lost a little love for it. And I watched it. I was like, yeah, I remember this is why I loved it. Because I watch things like that, then I get these ideas and I go back and I'll be like, okay, we're going to do something. Maybe we can't replicate what we've just seen, but we're going to do something that has inspired me to create. Do you understand? But there was so much male and female bad energy amongst each other. Do you know what I mean? There was so much getting onto people about Black Lives Matter, and it just spilled onto the dance thing. Do you get what I mean? Everything was spilling onto the dancing. I remember people like the whole situation of even if are you supporting? Oh, I did. You didn't know I did. Or You know what I mean? What can I do? It was just spilling onto the dance scene to the point, you know, like if even if you did a Black Lives Matter vid, people were saying you're just trying to jump on a wave.
No, yeah.
You couldn't even do anything. Yeah, you couldn't even do anything without people sending a message. It got so bad and toxic. I remember a situation, I think Lamar knows about this. I think I spoke to you about it, that I put something out and I just took stock footage. I just put stock footage. I am not a supporter of Black Lives Matter, the company, but not even because I hate them. I just don't understand them. So I'm not gonna just like I wouldn't support freaking Facebook. I will still use it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I'm not sitting there going Mark Zuckerberg is the greatest. But I just put some stock footage and I got questioned by 3 different people. 3 people were actually my elders and I have so much love for. Do you get what I'm saying? But they questioned me for putting it in there. And it felt so toxic. It made it kind of I was looking for criticism on my dance on my piece that I'd put together editing wise. I wasn't even asking about the dance. I was like, can you look at this edit? And you get that, and it then spills on the dance. I think I had meetings with Kobe, and I think I'm going to change the intro. I think I'm going to change this. It just the whole toxicness of what's happened around us has spilled into the dance scene, and even like the breaking thing. There's so much BS going on right now. It's just spilling in, and we're going full circle again. It's spilling onto the youngers and the olders and creating a divide. It's getting too toxic. Do you know what I mean? Go on, Kobe.
Do you think that toxicity is needed? If so, what's the percentage of that's needed before it becomes toxic? If that makes sense.
To the point where you start questioning yourself about if you're interested in the thing that you're actually doing. Because there's certain times, yeah, where it's like, you know what, I'm like, nah, I can't deal with this. Like, this is long, and obviously we're dancing, and these things that I'm complaining about ain't got nothing to do with dance. So therefore, the things that are going on around me is making me look elsewhere, where that's not even the main focus at all.
I'd say
There's
a difference between. Oh, I didn't even play. There's a difference between that one there, yeah, and like tension. I think tension is good. Like, see how I was talking about that little cup of fake. Like, it's good to just have it to a certain degree. It's good to have
like when you
that
watch a
rivalry.
competition, you see somebody with IMD on their shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, that's healthy. I like the healthy competition, and I like the tension. The tension like brings the best out of people. But let's remember, the word toxic is like mad. If you've gotten to a toxic level, regardless, then I can't lie, that's mad. So I can't lie. I feel like I feel like you need 0% like of the toxic like energy, like you know what I mean. But yeah.
I feel like though, I hear what you're both saying, but I feel like there's been situations where there's been a toxic situation and it's brought out the best of people. I wouldn't necessarily call it tension because there's been situations, you know what I mean? But actual toxic stuff, and it's brought out the best of a set or of a performance or of a dance or of an individual.
That's true.
But that's just how you turn it something bad into a positive. That's just a motivational aspect. But I wouldn't say that anything toxic is ever a good thing. I think if you turn it around and make it into a good thing, I think more power to you, because that's amazing. Some people would crumble, some people would motivate them more. But I think the initial intent behind someone's toxic actions should never be present. You know?
But then I hear what Kobe's saying, because that the root of that toxic situation created like some of the greatest moments we've seen. So I do get that at the same time.
No, but I think what Jack said,
it depends if you're strong enough to turn it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's more of a personal thing rather than like
depends on
the argument of toxicity.
Yeah, some people aren't strong enough for that.
Because some people will crumble, some people will turn that into something.
Some people become nasty. That's what it is. Some people come, that toxicness makes them nasty. That's what I'm saying. Like where Kobe and Jack have mentioned this already before, it's how you use it. And we've talked about that cup of hate. When you have that moment when you do hate on something or you hate on whatever, it's your job to then use that and then say, okay, cool, I'm gonna drink that and find a way to become stronger or become better or make it that healthy competition thing. But then when it gets worse than using dance anymore, and you start using other things, and you start saying nasty things, and you start saying things like they're not all that, and you start being like You're not even using your dance anymore. You're using your dance, your platform, and the people you're amongst and the connections you have to spill hate.
Yeah.
You're not even trying to spill. So that's the reason why I said I like what Lamar said before. Anyway, go on, Lamar. Yeah.
Lamar's hand looks
Okay,
so white.
I'm gonna flip the script about this toxic stuff. Yeah, what about those people? Yeah, because there are them people, no names, but them people that are on their high horse, even when good things do happen for them, in the back of your mind, you low key don't want to big them up because it's like now their head's just gonna get even more bigger than it already is, and that's toxic in itself.
No, okay, cool. Let me explain something. It's mad you said that. So there's a balloon thing. I'll go on my Facebook later on, and there was a balloon thing, and I think it was the best. There was so many different kind of way you can look at this as a metaphor to life. He made everyone right, and I think anyone seen this? So I'm going to say this and it's new. No, okay, cool. So he got everyone in the school to write their names on the balloon. Yeah. And they had to throw it inside into the middle of the corridor or the middle of the class entryway. Then what everyone had to do was then go and find their names. The first thing everyone did was they went mad and just went to find their names. They weren't even thinking about anyone else. They were thinking about finding their names. He then stopped them and said, everyone hold and pick up a balloon and then shout out the name that you have, and that person will react and come and take that balloon, and you give them that balloon that has got their name on it. By everyone doing that act of good, eventually good will come to you because then you will get your name. So back to that point what you said, Lamar. I used to think that, and I used to be like that sometimes. Be like, if you tell them too much, there's doing it because you're a teacher to try and push them and make them work harder, and then there's you outrightly have no way of wanting to big them up because even though you know what they did was good. And I used to do it a lot with the old IMD boys, especially like Corey and them lot. I would see something, it was amazing, but I didn't want to give them a big head. Nowadays I've changed. If I see something, I'll smile. You all know. I think that's my way of. Everyone knows that's my way of saying. That's what I'm saying. I like what you did, but I haven't got the heart to turn around and say it to you because I've got too much pride. But I'll give a smile, and I do. My mouth does this. I'll hold it. Like, I do that. Everyone knows I'm talking it.
Yeah, I mean, that signature smile.
My side of my mouth will go. Do you know what I mean? That's my way of saying. Yeah, okay, that was sick. Do you know what I mean? And everyone has it different ways. But my point is, I'm trying to get to was back to that point is of what you said. Sometimes you just have to do it because that's life. You just got to support everyone in any way and not think of it as because in that way it kind of ends up being toxic. Do you know what I mean? By you openly, because you don't know what that person's going through, and saying well done to that person has actually made them want to continue doing dance. Do you know what I mean? But you've decided not to because you thought, nah, I'm not going to give you a big head than you already got because you know everyone thinks you're good. But actually getting it from you was more important than getting it from the same old other people. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah. I think the way moving forward, like one of the things I said this year, I was gonna say it in privately, but I'll say it to you. I was actually gonna say from now on, I'm gonna start saying when I see people dressing good, I'm gonna say, yo, I like where you're dressing. I like your attire. Or I like your thing. I think I did it to Kobe the other day when he was wearing all black, but he did it wore it in a certain way. I like it. It's cool. You know why? Because I think we're so quick to cuss people and put them down the moment we're like, what the hell are you wearing? But we're never quick to turn around and big them up and rise them and say, you walk something good. So they never know when it's good. They only know when it's bad. And then, do you know what I mean? And we installed that mindset that becomes very toxic. Don't get me wrong. There's times when you just joke about, be like, what are those? Like when you're wearing the train. That's funny. That's cool.
Like but when you wear your bicycle shorts, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm on a bicycle short. I don't do that anymore. But anyway.
That's good.
But saying that, if you see a tracksuit and it looks all right or it looks presentable, be like, I like what I like. You don't have to be all like pervish about it. Be like, yo, I like your attire. I like your attire. I like the way you've set that up. It looks good. Do you know what I mean? It also creates an encouragement, and I think that's the problem with the dancing in general. We'll go past the Instagram. That's why I try my best. Like if I see something, I like it. I try my utmost best. If I can see it, if it comes up on my feed, I'll like it, and I'll even try and put a comment on there. Do you know what I mean? I even now go past emojis. Now I've started to add the word dope and sick and an emoji. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like just give some time. But some people actually will go out their way and be so toxic in their nature and go, that's not my preference, that's not what I like, so therefore I'm going to ignore that and be a prick about it because it's not. But then we don't all grow, and that's what I think I noticed this year more so. Do you know what I mean? I noticed this year people go out of their way to be nasty and say toxic stuff about people and be horrible, but when it came to supporting, they weren't there to support. And for me, you can't do both. If you're not going to support, don't be toxic either. Then you can't be. You know what I mean? If you're not going to be nice, don't be nasty. Do you know what I mean? You only have the right to be critical about someone if you're going to start being nice. So then you have the right to be critical and give them feedback and say what you think. But if you're not going to do it, then don't. Do you know what I mean? If you're not going to do that, then don't do nothing. Don't talk amongst your groups and start saying, I don't like this, I don't like that. And that's what I try to stop doing. I've tried. Don't get me wrong. We all do a bit of hating in some way. Do you know what I mean? And I admitted it myself openly on online today for the first time. Do you know what I mean? Because it was only amongst me and the two other people. But I've openly said I had a moment where I couldn't understand this individual. I couldn't. But you know what I've done recently more? I've been like, I'm gonna like their stuff a bit more. And I've started to make sure I'm like, oh, I like what they're doing. Oh, I like okay, yeah, I see what you're doing. It's not my cup of tea, but I like it.
This popped a question into my head, this exact point you made and just this conversation. I'm not going to say fake love, but is forced love better than no love?
Yes.
I think so.
Now it is, yeah. In the world we live in of social media.
In the social media, yeah. Because I think like if you maybe you see something and you don't rate it, but you might know this person personally, and you're like, you know what? No, of course I'm gonna support them. They're my friend. And I think if you end up like even if you don't think that, if you think like that initially, I think even so you're gonna end up just naturally loving and liking their stuff anyway. And I think it's like what you're saying. I think if you're enforcing this positivity and blocking out the toxicity in it, I think that can only benefit everyone involved. Yourself, whether you started off with bad intentions or not the best intentions, they eventually translate to like only positive outcomes of like, support, openness, this, that, and the other, whether it's fake in the first place or not,
Yeah.
I think a good example of that is like I don't know, maybe if you like tag an artist in a post and they like comment, they might not even watch the full thing, but they're just seeing that you've tagged them. Do you know what I mean? And they might comment, and then for that person, you've commented on their post, one could make their day, or two to even like, if let's say the content wasn't that great, like it could even push them to do a better routine to the artist's next song. Do you know what I mean? So answering your question, yeah, fake love is better than no love because
on social media, by the way, that's on social media. Well. You think?
Yeah. Okay, here's what I'm saying. I think fake love, regardless, but knowing, depending on the person, like in your relationship.
Maybe the word fake love, maybe what we really mean is showing appreciation.
Yeah, I'm literally gonna say, I think we need to change the words though, because
I think fake love and forced love are very different.
Yeah.
They're very different. Fake love, although it might be good on the surface, inside that's where the toxic nature of it comes to fruition eventually, Yeah, so I think fake love and forced love are very different. I think forced love is good no matter what, but fake love on social media, yeah, good, but in person, nah.
No, I'll be real. For me, fake love on social media, like, bro, like, that's literally just like me. Like, I don't care who does this here, but it's just like double tapping on a post that you never watched. Like, it's just. I
wouldn't call that fake. I would call that forced.
Yeah, I agree.
I think fake would be like commenting, saying that, "Oh, this is sick."
Oh yeah.
You told somebody that, "Oh, I don't like the video." I think that's fake love.
Yeah. No, but not even fake. No, that's why that's not even fake. I don't. So that's when it's fake and forced. Now, when you do what you just did, but then go and comment and speak to someone, say something else. That's when I turn the word to toxic. Now it's not about fake or forced anymore. It's now toxic.
I agree.
You're toxic now. You've gone onto someone's post, you've liked it or whatever, or you comment on it, but then you've gone and said a nasty comment to someone else about it. Now you're toxic. Yeah. That's why that's where I'm like, fake and forced. Obviously, we have our debates amongst each other, and we go, "Can you do it in real life? Can you not?" Okay, cool. But that's debatable. And you know what? is a form of a medicine that can maybe change your mindset on people,
But
and you can
I
start.
think the factor to do with that is to do with your relationship with people.
Yeah, but
Like, if I
either
see someone
way,
on the street and I don't like their attire, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I hate your attire. But do you know what I mean? Like if I'm with the man them and I'm like, you look dead.
it's.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's toxic. It's when you have that mindset, or you do think about something about it, but you don't say nothing. But then you go to someone else and you say something nasty. All right, now you're just being toxic. There was no need. If you weren't going to say nothing to them, you weren't going to have a conversation, and or you know what I mean, or you even if you did say something to them, but then you say something that was the latter of what you just said to them to someone else. You're a toxic character.
Yeah, no.
You're a
Mm.
toxic
Yeah,
individual. Do you get?
Question:
Yeah.
if you do it because your relationship with that person isn't how your relationship with that person is you've spoken to, is that still toxic?
I hear what you're trying to say.
I
Or
don't know what you said.
Say that again. Say that again. I missed it.
Let's say now, I've gone to someone. Oh my god, I love your post. Let me flip it. Let me see how this goes. I've never tried it before. I want to say that. Oh my god, I hate your post on someone's thing. Yeah, I hate this. This is the worst. Blah blah blah. I've gone to someone else and be like, oh my god, that was the best thing I've seen in my life.
That's just weird. You're
Then
Wait,
weird.
what?
You're weird and you're toxic still. You're still
Yeah, you're
toxic.
weirdo. Why
Dude.
would you even do that,
Is
bro?
it
Doesn't even,
toxic
you've
to
put
someone
something nasty elsewhere, regardless, bro. Even if you've done it to the person or vice versa, you've put something nasty out there with the intentions to be not like
That's a hater.
loving?
That's
Yeah,
what trolls do.
That's
but
a hater.
if I'm true one, but what I'm trying to get at is if you're not scared. Okay, if I'm scared to say something nice to this person or to say something bad to this person, and I'm saying my true feelings to someone else, would you define that as toxic?
It depends on
Yeah,
what
you know,
you're
you need to
scared
do some
say.
serious soul searching, blood, because you're kind of insect that, because that kind of comes across as like you shouldn't be so scared to the point where you have to feel like you need to facade that with hatred, fam. That is toxic. I think that's toxic.
Okay, and then to flip
Yeah.
it back, how I was going to
Yeah.
say before, what
Yeah.
about if you're so scared to show someone love?
I don't understand. Like, I don't know why you would be scared to show someone love.
Because certain
If
people
it-
get in the complex of if you show them love, not even if you show them love, but people have some next like mentality that if someone succeed, they can't succeed. Like there's room for everyone. Like,
And also, if I've got like personal beef with someone, but I like their content and I comment on the content positive,
yeah,
but I'm scared to tell the person how I really feel, or vice versa if I hate it and I'm scared to feel that I really love it, but I go tell someone else, oh, I actually liked it, but because of my
Yeah, but then,
Mm,
But
but
if
then,
you have
bro,
beef
yeah,
with
but
them,
then,
why
bro,
are you
then
even
that-
talking?
and then also it comes back to that thing of what we all say when you have, when you have someone toxic in your life, that's when you get rid of them.
True.
yeah.
That's the whole point of when you say you get rid of toxic people in your life. So you don't have to be fake. So you don't have to turn around and say things to
Put it
someone.
away. Yeah.
You don't have to be. They don't have to be in your thing. I mean, you have it unfollow for a reason. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to block them. You just unfollow. Don't worry, Instagram will do the rest of the work for you. Do you know what I mean? You won't see their stuff if you stop liking their stuff. It won't come up. Do you know what I mean? Like, so. That's the term. If you don't want toxic people in your life, you get rid of them. And sometimes what is toxic to you isn't toxic to someone else. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah, I don't know. For me, the reason why I said this year has been toxic is more because of how, for example, that whole situation enlightening of what's happened in the dancing shouldn't have been toxic, but it became toxic with the way everyone had started dealing with it and talking to one another about, oh, this guy has raped that girl, this girl is chatting s. It went from being this woke moment of, oh yeah, like change has to happen. Men have to fix up to being gone, yeah.
Sorry, I think with that, and I think with BLM as well, I think it got to a point where people, I think this is where it became forced, but it turned into a more toxic thing where people were so eager to show their support, they were then a bit too enthusiastic in like showing their support in some way where it came out as false, or just like they just had nothing to back it up with. Like people were just too eager to like, hey, look at me, I'm doing my part to help, but did it with no facts behind what they were doing. And in that sense, it became a lot worse for everyone because it blocked the real stories, and then it also just made the main point that everyone was trying to make. It kind of dimmed it down a
diluted,
bit.
yeah.
It got diluted. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
So
No, and that's what I think. That's why I said this year's been toxic, especially
I would
dance
agree.
wise. It's not saying that everyone's evil and bad, and
Yeah,
they're all like. It's just so
it's
many
just a lot more
situations.
prominent.
Yeah, just so many situations happened, and what should have been a good situation where we go, okay, cool, this has been highlighted. Now, how do we problem solve this and work as a team? It just started being whispers. It started being, yeah, they definitely did it. Bastard, bastard, bastard. Then when it was someone else that like it was on the other foot, it was, oh shit, no, it couldn't have been them. Then it was like, and then it was like, wait, but you were just
100%.
chatting. Well, how's it different now? Then it was like people then saying certain things. Then it was just so much happened.
I think a lot of people just want to be like a hero when I think with big like huge issues like this, whether it be human rights or sexual assault, whatever it is, I think the main job of social media was to highlight the matter rather than be the what's the word I'm looking for? Like, of course, you're trying to shine a spotlight. Yeah, I guess you're trying to shine a spotlight on something so it brings attention and eventually brings change. When I think a lot of people are trying to be the prosecutor.
Yeah.
And I just think people like it's good in a way because it's bringing more attention to a topic that needs attention shone on it. But then,
100%.
like you said, it's then making the problem almost backfire on itself. Like I think that's the whole reason Black Lives Matter is still heavily like debated against, especially like in football. You see people kneeling and they get booed, and then you'll go in the comments and it'll be like because it's a political thing, but it's not. It's not a political thing.
Oh.
Shut up! It's not a political thing. It's mass people and mass media just diluting the actual message more and more, where it becomes something else, and now the actual message is gone and it's lost all of its like momentum.
And power. Like it's so like the word defunding the police.
Exactly.
People don't actually know what that meant. So people actually think what defunding the police in terms of America. We haven't been back to America and talked about them in ages, but defunding the police actually just meant was controlling where the money went. What UK is trying to do right now. So we're saying we're trying to control it in the way of we're trying to put things on the police officers to do. There's a black guy who did it from South London where he teaches them how to not react straight away because they live outside of London, but they're police officers in London. And when they had to write down what they feel when they see a black person or a bunch of black boys on the road, and they just be honest. But that's what. So when they say defund, it's basically take away the
initial funds.
The initial funds of basically distributing in the correct way. Ice Cube said it the best. He said you can't actually physically take a whole foundation down. You got to build around it and build new roots and build new ways to build it up better and stronger. You can't just go, because it took years to go up. You just want to destroy that and start again. Do you know what I mean? We can't physically do that. And I think that's what it comes down to. Yeah, there's a lot of rewording that was diluted and taken away. And then the platform was meant to highlight. And instead what happened is it ended up being exactly what Jack, you just said, people becoming prosecutors, their opinions becoming more powerful than it should have been. Back to what I said about Piers Morgan saying there's woke and then there's this new generation of woke. What he was saying is there's being aware and then there's cancel culture. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's this cancel culture woke is scaring everyone. Do you know what I mean? Like being aware of it should be what we're celebrating. Being aware of the problems, being aware of the situation. That's not toxic. Do you know what I mean? Being aware and finding a way. Like if there's like we talked, like what our show does, we're aware there's an issue between the generations. We're talking about our opinions on how we could repair that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's cancel culture where we're saying, all you older shut up. And then the younger, all you younger shut up. Like that's cancel culture mentality of woke. And it's like, no, that's not how we should be working. We should be woke should be an awareness of what is going on and how we can solve it to move forward and be more together in harmony. And I think what Kobe's doing is that harmony thing of trying to collab with people and trying to get people together. And yeah, I think that's the best way forward. But yeah, I think that's where we are. I think next week we're going to do it in person for the first time. But yeah, we're going to sign off. Anyone got any last words?
Nah, mate.
That's my Twitter.
Instagram.
Lamar, you know you're the last person now who doesn't put their Twitter, Instagram, or something up.
Don't conform. Do what you want, bro.
Hold on. Wait. Oh.
He's gonna put something funny up.
No, honey.
Yeah, man.
In fact, Bunny, I might as well say it. If you have a problem with anything I've said, add me on Snap at Lamar.r to talk to me about it.
Bro, let's promote this.
Why
That's
did you have to come on Greece? Like, it could have been so
No, I'm just saying, innit?
It could be like, you want to see my life? Add me on
You have a
Snap.
problem?
It's like, you got
No,
issues.
No, because it could better me as a person, hearing somebody's opinion about me that they don't know.
I tried doing that earlier, Kobe. It doesn't work.
No, you know, I said that with the transgender thing. I said that it could affect me as a person if he just explained to me, but no one came on. No one's still ready to explain to me.
What are you?
So-
What are you trying to
Understand?
learn?
I
Yeah.
want to understand. Okay, my first thing, I'm gonna bring this up because I had to talk about this before the other day.
Are you trying to do this on live? Yes or no?
Yeah, I was
I
about to
don't
say.
mind. I don't mind doing this live. I think I've always. No. We can talk. I've no. I think I've always had an issue when, anyone of any problems, whether it's been the Me Too movement, or in this case the LGBTQ movement, or like any movement, and they've compared it to black people's problem. That's been my biggest issue I've always had.
I don't think people are trying to. I don't know. Maybe you see it differently. I don't think people are trying to compare it. I think it's just it's another human rights issues, but I think they're on completely different levels.
And that's my point.
I think everyone just wants equality, but
yeah,
I think
we want equality, but I do. You know what is what's annoyed me? I feel like one of the things I always bring this story up. One of the things I remember saying to someone and having a dispute was, I don't know what he's doing. He's bringing the Holy Bible. This guy he still hasn't been to church yet. One of the biggest things I've always had an issue with is when people have put. I get it. We all want human rights, but the reason why I feel the issue amongst the black community is a bigger problem, in terms of the issue of what's going on, is because, again, this is not to belittle and say. When I say bigger, I think maybe I'm using the wrong term. Being transgender is something that you biologically feel is not correct within yourself, and you feel you're born in the wrong body. But people having an issue with that is to do they maybe biologically feel that's incorrect. That's their opinions. Being liking a man or woman, I believe that's just ethical. That's ethical stuff. So depending on where you are, it's seen as unethical. Do you mean in the world? For me, I've always said being black has nothing to do with either or. Being black, I didn't choose it.
That's true.
I didn't, but I'm being made to feel like it's biologically incorrect by the higher powers. Then ethical and unethical, I didn't make it unethical, but I'm being made to feel it's unethical by the higher powers. Do you understand? Of the color of the skin, and where so many different situations, I believe of inequality for women and all that stuff is, yes, very important. I think what people are trying to say is these inequalities are due to people's beliefs in life. Being black is not a belief. This is a fact. Yet people have disgusting views about it. A young black kid didn't get born, and it's not like I'm not trying to say you choose to be, well, you do. You choose to be transgender because you don't feel you're in the right body. I didn't get that choice.
Yeah,
Not saying that I would never change it. I love being black, but we didn't get that choice. I didn't come out of mum, and it's like it wasn't like at the end, like at the end of a game, it's like, okay, which one would you like to pick, black or white? I pick black. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why I think I've always had an issue with everyone pulling it on the same level field. When I'm like,
that's what I think you just said. That's what you have the issue with. You have people putting it on the same level, if not higher, depending on their circumstance. And I agree with you, because I think it'd be not stupid, but I don't think you can put them level because of the points you just make. Like, you can be born gay, but no one will know that, but you'll be born black, and obviously your entire life is different. So I completely understand you. But I think you're seeing a small you're seeing a small demographic of people who think it's on par, and I'm not, I can't speak for transgender community or the LGBT community, but I'm pretty sure the majority would not put it. Like, if you really deep it and had a conversation with these people, I don't think they would put it level.
You know, it is. You know, when I see when it's brought up, or I have not had a deep conversation, because I've got as people I now know as friends and who are transgender, we never had a deep that conversation. But for the conversations I've seen online and stuff like that, one as soon as you have a black person go, oh, I don't know, they have an opinion from someone who's gay. That's the comeback argument. Things like it's only happened to me once. Two gay people kissing, and I think I've told Kobe about this story. So some people about this story. Two gay people were kissing. They were proper kissing each other in the middle of Victoria. I was looking like raw, and the answer to me was, "You should know better." Within that answer saying you should know better, I was like, "What? You're trying? No, don't do that." I'm looking at you the same way I would look at two men and a man and a woman kissing up each other in the street, and me thinking, "Get a room."
Yeah, it's just too much in public.
Yeah, I wasn't looking at you because you were two men.
It's
Do you know what I mean? And that's what you brought up before is what you said is what I said to them. I was like, you can switch this off. You can walk away and no one will know. I can't switch off. When I walk out the room or I walk out the house, I'm black. And no matter how much I try and make my voice more posh and less road, my skin color does the story for me. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's what I think I've always had my what do you call it? My disagreement on it all. Yeah. But and then also growing up, I never being with the gay lesbian community, I've always been understanding to it because I've always believed like, yeah, if who you love, no one can tell you. Do you get what I'm saying? It's no different to me being black and loving a white woman. Do you understand? Or you being Asian and loving a black woman. That you can't really get onto people about their preference of who they love. Do you understand? It's just I never understood until more recently. I've been learning more about it. I never understood the transgender community. Do you understand? Because I never understood it to a point where I'm like, okay, cool. I'd like to be taught the same way. I'm not going to be closed-minded. I'd like to be communicated to me.
I think after you saying that, actually, I think I've changed my mind. I think I would like to be. It's going to sound weird. Okay, I'm going for it out there. I'd like to be educated on it, just so I know why. If that makes sense.
What exactly do you guys want education about, though?
Open the door, by the way. Go on, yeah, carry on.
Of course, you want to. I want to be educated on. First, I want to be educated on like the whole. I don't know how to put it without like coming across rude, so I'm just gonna say it. No one kill me or anything. Thanks.
No judgment.
Why they feel like that? What point in their life why they feel like that? If that makes sense. But the main one I want to understand is where does the line drop? Because from what I know, from what I can grasp from the transgender community, is they feel they're in the wrong body and they want to change, which makes sense. But at what line does it stop? Because if that's the concept of it, this is gonna sound mad. No.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
If a white person wants to paint their skin black, we can't call it blackface because they can say, "Oh, I feel like I'm supposed to be born black," and vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think. Here's what I think, and I'm not speaking on any community's behalf in it because I'm not a part of it. But this is what I grasp from it. We're entering a time, where gender fluidity and gender as a construct is being spoken about and it's being broken down in many, many terms. Like I think we're living through a period of time where social constructs that we know of and live by our entire lives are now being questioned because we as humans have ultimately made these decisions. Yes, we know biologically a man exists because of a male genitalia, and we know that women exist because of a female genitalia. But when we're thinking of the constructs of gender, they were sexes, right? That's how you're born biologically. But when you're thinking of gender, these are also different things. So you've got the male gender and you've got the female gender. And I think we're now entering a time where those constructs which have lasted for however many 100 years since, as far as we know, humans have started, are now coming into question because people don't feel like they fit that gender that they're assigned to. You could be born with a male genitalia, but you don't feel like you need to be a man per se, as far as as society concerns. You don't feel like you need to be big and strong or dress this way and that way. And I think it's the conversation of gender and the fluidity between that is now opening up, rather than like, I feel this way, I should be this, or this way. I think it's more open, and you can almost decide what you want to be and what you should be without people having to judge you. And people are definitely going to judge you. We're going through a big time of change.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to compare that with race, completely different conversation. Completely different conversation, even though inequality is the main basis of it, because there is inequality, and that's been since the start of time. There hasn't been equality between man and woman. There hasn't been equality between black and white. There hasn't been equality now between straight and homosexual. It's just it's another human rights issue that needs to be discussed. And I think it's something I seen the other day as well. I think the extremes of a certain topic or opinion is always what defines that movement, you know? Like, and that's what the media or other people who oppose with it run with. For example, you could use anything. You could say Labour, all right? Corbyn, he is far left, but the right, or anyone who's leaning towards right, would be like, he wants to tax anyone above this amount of money, and he wants to make all rich people poor. He's going to make sure you never get rich. That's an extreme, and it's now defined Labour, and ultimately the reason he lost, because that point there was manipulated to go spread across mass opinion in it, and that's used on everything. So I think with Omar, what you were saying, with people putting it equal, I think that's another extreme point which is wrongly being used to define a whole opinion and movement, if you know what I'm trying to say. So I think we need to be careful on letting one, or sometimes you see it a lot through social media, the extreme of a point can often define that movement or that opinion, and that's never the case, because there are millions of transsexual people, there are millions of gay people, there are millions, billions even, of black and white people, and no one person will share the thingy. Everyone wants one thing, and that's equality. Some people will want more than that. Some people will want to settle for less than that. It's completely different, but you have to have these conversations without judgment to find a moral ground.
And that's where I'm at. That's where I want to have these conversations, because the same way I'm not, again, like I said, I don't see them as equal, but the same way as conversation needs to be happen for a better future, I felt the last not even 2 months. I think that's one thing this year of lockdown really made me open up to say, I want to have these conversations. Like, I want to have a conversation with more women about the way they feel. I want to have conversations with women about the way men feel. Because there's not a lot of that happening right now. Do you know what I mean? I want to have a lot of, like, I think we mentioned it before. I'd love to have a conversation with a racist, a proper racist, not an ignorant person, because they're harder to deal
like
with.
a Tommy Robinson diehard
Yeah.
supporter.
Even him, he's a level of ignorance. If you see his conversation, he knows how to maneuver. I mean, I want to deal with that
very
person.
clever.
Yeah, he's very clever. He's more smart than everyone makes him out to be. He knows how to say the right words. Even with the Black Lives Matter, he went, I'm cancelling the thing, even though people went and did it anyway, because he wants, and he had a black vicar. He brings a black vicar with him to things. He's smart. I'm talking about, you know, the one where, like, if my daughter marries a black man, I will disown her. I'll near enough want to kill her. Like, that level that I'd love to sit down, and there's so many different people. I'd love to sit down with people with male chauvin, what's the word? Basically sexists, the highest level of sexism. Not Omar. Yeah, like not the Omar's jokey one. Not the the guys can do it better. No, I mean the guys who actually believe women should stay at home.
There's
There's
an interesting series on YouTube. I'm gonna try and find it. I think it's a channel called Cut, where they basically get the extremes of these thingies, and they have regular people like ask them. Like, they had, like what you said, like an incel, and they put like a screen between them and the next person, and then just have someone ask them questions and they give their opinion. Obviously, this is one person's point of view, but like it's really interesting to see that person's like perspective of things, even though it's messed up. Let me see if I can find a link for it. Incel. But the channel is called Jubilee. Great channel, by the way. So it's like there's this one. It's got 4 million views now. I'm an incel. Ask me anything. But it's like they do that sort of thing, and there's only a few videos on it. Like there's one like I'm a witch. Ask me anything. They got some spooky ones. But it's cool to see that perspective of someone.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I want to learn. I really like before the day I pass away, and God forbid them days, I want to know that I went away and I understood the mindset and the way people think. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's hard for me to. I'd even like to have a conversation with someone who's black from America, and have that conversation of how does it feel to be black in America. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, well, we keep on acting like we all know how it feels because we're black and British, but our issues are similar, but they're not the same.
And it's even different for between different Americans, like one in the South and one in New York, completely different.
Yeah, I'd love to. I think, and that's where I'm at. So I'm at a place where, obviously, the reason why transgender is up there for me is because as a person before, my mindset was this doesn't make sense to me. Do you get what I'm saying? It didn't make sense to me. I wanted to. I tried, but it didn't make sense. I've grown up to a point where I'm like, I would like to, I'd like to understand. I've got friends who are transgender, and I've never asked them that question. A part of me has never been brave enough because now we're finishing off. Let's go back to full circle because of the toxicness of the world we live in, and because of how woke people. There's like I told
and
you,
the judgment to ask.
Yeah, the judgment. Yeah, the cancellation to ask. Like even me doing this right now is very brave of myself because I've never done this outright. I've always kept it in my circle. But I've like, you know what, fudge it. Let's just do it. I'm gonna just ask that question. I've always felt it's a conversation I really want to have. That maybe some people don't want to have, and they want to have their views. But I would like to understand it, and I'd like to, just like I've said to people, I wanted people to understand that, like, not just like Black Lives Matter, but a black struggle. I didn't even want them to stop being racist. I wanted them to understand the black struggle. I would like to understand their struggle. And some of the stuff I'm already seeing has upset me. Seeing how many get killed, and transgender and people get murdered, especially finding out that it was more Hispanics and blacks, which makes sense if I'm honest because of the very religious views of the of our ethnicities from the BAME community. Do you know what I mean? It's not. I'm not too surprised that the BAME community, the Black Asian minority, would do something like that because such religious views. So it's more hurtful to know that we would do that. So I'd like to understand. Do you know what I mean? So I've done my research, but my research is so narrow and shallow because it's only Google.
It's the worst place to try and. I think on issues like this, the internet is the worst place to try and figure it out for yourself. Like it's with human rights. I think it's something you have to speak to real people about, because you won't get a proper insight. You'll get, like we were saying earlier, you'll see the extremes and you'll see the lower extremities of things. Like lower extremities, you see the lesser and the worst of things. Like you have to chat to as many real people you can in order to grasp like the severity of certain things. But that's just my opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong in asking anything in the world. I think there's just a certain way you have to go about it without being disrespectful.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Unless it's like, like pedophilia or something, you can die.
Oh yeah, no. See, no, I can't. I don't want to understand you.
Yeah, I don't want to. No one should. You should just finish.
Yeah, I don't understand the fact that you like little children.
No,
Kobe's gonna try and
he's gonna ask him.
Kobe's gonna.
Kobe, you have to come with this Mother Teresa rubbish, man.
What?
Kobe, if Jesus could be allocated like freaking Lost when they pick the person on who's gonna be the one, you would get allocated by someone. They would pick you. You love to see the good in everything. Go on.
No. Hold on. Let me just clear this up before. And if anyone gets confused, I want you to go back.
I'm calling it now. I want to ask.
2 minutes.
I want to answer first whatever you ask.
Cool.
So I completely agree with the whole pedophilia thing. Yeah, death sentence should be on the line.
Here we go.
But taking off my Kobe hat, I'm putting on devil's advocate hat.
Devil is right.
Do you think? Because I feel like, I'm not sure if it was a report that you read me or it might have been your personal opinion. I feel like it was a report. You wouldn't have said it anyway. Apparently, the transgender, there's something not something wrong with them, but like a mental. Obviously, it's a mental situation because they're feeling like they shouldn't have to feel. They shouldn't. They feel like they're in the wrong body mentally. So with the concept of pedophilia now,
I see where you're trying to go.
No, I don't at all.
I don't see it either.
Hold
I
on, Jack,
don't see it either.
Jack had first dibs. So go.
Okay, Kobe. Yeah, and this is for everyone.
hold on. No, this is not Kobe or Justin. This is devil's advocate. Yeah?
It's your question, so I'm gonna. Sorry.
It's devil's advocate question.
Sorry, this topic gets me so angry. With pedophilia, okay. The reason this is so different from every single other thing you could ever think of, yeah, is because they have a sexual attraction to children. Now you're thinking of children, yeah. These are people who you're born with a tiny pea brain, and that brain has to develop and grow as you get older, yeah. And as we know, children are not as smart as someone who is 30 because they are children. They don't have the capability to make decisions. So when someone who is older, who has the capable decisions and has the skills to know what is right and wrong, what is morally right and wrong, and what is even dangerous and scarring and traumatic, they still have the tendency to go ahead and even in some cases, in a lot of cases with pedophiles, like engage in sexual activity or try to with kids who can't make the decision. And that's why it's so different from maybe homosexuality or transgender, because these people are adults who know in themselves what they want and can make that decision as an adult. Children don't have that option. They can't decide. They're kids. So there is no child on earth, I think, who would even want to even think about that. They don't know what it is. Like, it's sick, it's twisted, that's why I think they deserve to die, because you're inflicting such traumatic things onto a kid who doesn't even know right from wrong. They don't know these things.
I get that, but with my devil's advocate hat, I would pose the question to you: is that not a mental problem?
Yeah, I can't. I would actually want to have a conversation. I would want to have a conversation.
100% it's a mental problem.
Like a sexual.
So then, going back to my question,
It
if it's a mental problem, should they die?
Yes. Because this is
but I know what Kobe's trying to say, you know.
I get what you're trying to say, but this ain't a mental
help
thing.
Because there's so many stages before you actually get to the art of actually, I want to touch a child.
That's true. You can prevent it.
So many different.
But this ain't the same as a normal mental problem. Like a mental problem could be like having severe anxiety, depression, OCD, all of these other things. If you have a mental problem where you could harm a child and ruin the rest of their life because you can't control yourself, I think that's it's a mental disease, but I think it's a mental disease that has to be eradicated and fixed. If you can fix it and prevent it, do that. I don't think this is my view, and it may be extreme, but the reason, obviously, I don't think like armies should go out and try and hunt down pedophiles and murder them, innit? But I think in the grand scheme of things, this is a mental problem, innit? Ingrained in their DNA. They're born with this very bad tendency to do this thing, innit? I think over many, 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 many years, if you killed that sort of tendency off, as natural selection goes, that will eventually vanish. Eventually, you know? I could be wrong. It might not, but
no, I think it will. I think it will. I saw a post that was like, what was it saying? It was a while back. It was like, by killing pedophiles, it's showing it is the prevention. You know what I mean? We said about that point of the point before you actually get to engaging within that sexual activity.
That's what I mean. Like the risk outweighs.
Nah, I don't want to die. And that's
the risk just completely outweighs what could potentially happen.
It's just a prison sentence or whatever I was saying. It's a bit like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I definitely agree with you. Put my code back on. I agree they should die anyway.
Well, conspiracy wise, we know why they don't go down.
Because
If you're woke,
Let's not get into that one.
the whole government, the whole government
Let's not
is
get into
fast. That's why they make sure they protect themselves.
that. But anyway,
oh, I
I
hate
guarantee
this planet.
if you get 100 MPs, 100 I don't know politicians from America, 100 from Nigeria, 100 from anywhere, ask them to check their drives, and you'll find child porn on it. I can
It's true,
put
bro.
my life on it. You'll find child porn on it. I can put my life on it. That's big, isn't it? The mother looking like what?
It's a lot more prominent than people think, and because they know how bad it is, they're adults. They know how bad it is. It's some are so much better at hiding it than others. The guy in his Vauxhall Astra, yeah, picking up young girls from school is a pedophile. You and that's debatable, but I think a 22-year-old going to pick up a 15-year-old doing her GCSEs, I think that man there's a pedophile. He might not be as extreme as someone going for a 5-year-old. That's still pedophilia. Just because it's not as extreme, I still think it's in that realm.
You know what the problem with that is? In other countries, it's not seen as a problem.
I know. So messed up, man.
it goes back to the ethical thing that you're saying.
You know what it is? I think it's all wrong, but people that happens like in certain places in the continent of Asia and Africa.
Mm-hmm.
It's normal.
No.
And it's so wrong.
The consent age in France is 15.
What?
Yeah, consent age. You know that if you do a check of around the world, in places in the Scandinavian countries above us, it's 14.
Yeah, that's not.
In UK, it's 14. You can get married, but you have to have consent from the parents. There's a lot you don't know. These pedophiles in the Thai governments make sure they're covered all the way. They make sure they're covered all the way.
This is mad. Okay. So I just quickly Googled legal age of consent around the world to just get a consensus.
It's 12 in Nigeria, isn't it?
Oh, mate. In Latin America and the Caribbean, the minimum age of consent ranges between 12 and 18. Obviously, that's a range. But there's countries that think 12 is... What's the lowest in the world? Nigeria has the lowest age of consent in the world at 11. Jesus Christ.
I told you, Kobe.
Jesus Christ. And you know how that's allowed? Because like just Omar was saying, there are people put in the government to make that rule. They decided to make that unanimously. Oh! Why is this planet so fucked?
It's bad. I told you. And it goes back to what Kobe just mentioned and what I said before. Unfortunately, there's what we call wrong socially, and then there's ethical to other people, and we can't control it. Literally, it's a sad. You know when I found that out was literally lockdown again. Lockdown has mashed up everything in my mind. Like there's so many things that I found out. I was like, I live on this planet, and this is allowed. There was a whole rape case situation in France where the guy got away with it because they proved that the girl wanted it, but the girl never wanted it.
Wait.
But because of her age and where it is in that country of consent, he got away with it. So he raped her, got her pregnant. She lied for time and said that she slept with another. I think she was 14 and she slept with another 13, 12-year-old. Lied and said that boy is the father for time until one day they finally found out that it was like the family friend had raped her.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But when they finally took him to court, he got away with it because his point was that she was asking for it. Like she was putting it on him. I was like, the age? Is no one looking at the age? The France courts had accepted. Like it's mad. The world we live in. The world. So, Cobes, yes, it's a mental health, and to everyone else, it is a mental problem. I do agree with that. But for me, mental health or not, it's like you having the urge to kill. You don't just go and do it because you feel
the same.
That's what you go and do. You feel that's the only way to deal with your urge to deal with something. You don't because you know it's wrong. Do you get what I'm saying, guys? Like,
And
is
if
anyone
you don't know it's wrong, then you're a menace. You're a very dangerous person to society, and you should be dealt with, whether it's prison or whether your life is ended.
just like a
You're
psychopath?
it's too dangerous to roam free. You have to protect these people from society. Or sorry, protect society from these people, whatever those means are.
But they won't, innit?
Yeah.
Governments are involved. That's the reason why, you know, the abortion thing that happened in America, and everyone was like, "Oh my god," is because they were they got rid of it because the original reason for abortion came into power was to save women who had been raped or been whatever situation, having the right to.
I was watching something.
The government states in America then overturned that, so they could have those children. So you'd have big governors who had done things with young women or young girls, should we say, who were at 13, 14, and they didn't have the right to be able to have an abortion. They'd have to keep the baby. So we live in a very questionable world.
Yeah.
We live in a questionable world.
Yeah.
But yeah,
On that positive note.
I wouldn't want to speak to a paedophile. I have nothing to sort of say to them. All I want, the same way I would want to kill a murderer for taking someone's life and doing wrong, unless it was manslaughter and it was an accident, or they'll push that point.
Yeah, murder's different.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
that's very different.
But if they're full-on murderers,
like serial killers.
Yeah, serial killers. The same way I would want to see the back of their head on a floor. Same with a paedophile, but they will never go. Pedophiles will never go down. They'll be reinstated into our community, and they'll get hidden and protected.
And they are.
And there's a reason for that, people. There's a reason for that. Certain people in certain places. Telling you, 100 people. I put my life on it. I will take 100 from every place. I guarantee. Go to China. 100 people. At least one of them is looking at what do you call it? Child porn.
Child porn. Yeah.
100%. Anyway, guys. On that note, yeah, I'm gonna click on this link. Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, I clicked on it as well.
Yeah, no, it's interesting still.
All right. Next week, guys.
Of course, in person, Christmas Eve special.
But it's pre-recorded, remember?
No, we're allowed.
Yeah, I forgot we filmed this last week.
We're allowed anyway.
Oh yeah, it's because 24th.
Oh yeah.
23rd to 27th, we're allowed to do what we want.
I'm going to a dance class. I don't know about you, man. I'm a professional, and I'm going to a dance class, so I'm allowed regardless. I don't know about you,
And I'm part of Omer's household. I don't know if you guys
we
know.
just happen to have a chit chat whilst we're there, innit, with microphones and headphones.
We gotta talk about that. That's something I was laughing at. Like, anyone can just go, I'm professional. I can go.
I was thinking about that. You know?
Have you seen that video of the guy like patting people down and like as they enter, he's like, "You're good."
The government defines professional as by like if you make money off it.
Yeah, if you make money off it.
People go.
If I got a pound from busking on Oxford Street, I'm a professional.
Because my mum gave it to me while I was dancing. Are you nuts? I'm a professional now.
It's so dumb.
It's so like, it's the way people went, oh, I'm professional, I can go classes. I was like, okay. On that note, guys, night, everyone. Bye, everyone.
Oh. Wait.